What's up guys, this is Harvey Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of Naruto. What's the right flash part 35 and if you did enjoy the video, give this video a like, and if you do my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
The rest of the team went their separate ways after the 7 meeting, which ended abruptly with the arrival of their newest members Stormfront and Homelander going out to speak with Stan Edgar. Practice decided to hype himself up in practice in order to exact revenge on the person who embarrassed him at the race and then assaulted him. He desired retaliation. Black Noir, for his part, remained silent and departed the gathering to do whatever he pleased. Stormfront went to familiarize herself with Vought Tower and move into her room, while Starlight went to change into her ordinary clothing before leaving the building. Maeve exited the meeting and took the elevator down to her room. The elevator proceeded to descend until it came to a stop on Maeve's floor, when she entered her room. When she noticed an envelope on her desk, he removed her tiara and placed her phone on it. There was no postal stamp, no return address, and it was addressed to Margaret Shaw, her real name, rather than Queen Maeve. She took a quick look around her room and saw nothing out of the ordinary, making her wonder whether this was Homelander. She opened it to check if it was some strange request for a date, but instead found a few short phrases. Jordan's Cafe is a restaurant. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. if you truly want to help people and ensure that Homelander does not harm you or anybody you care about, I'll see you there. When you arrive at the cafe, ask for Nathan and dress in civilian attire to avoid drawing notice. I'd like to speak with Margaret, not Queen Maeve. I want to assist, and I promise I can if we talk about it. You are a cynic and an alcoholic with a nice heart. I'm hoping to see you there. Maeve read the message, and part of her was intrigued while another half thought it was foolish. In any case, she set the letter down and headed over to the tiny bar to get a drink. Maeve drank heavily that night to ease the emotional and bodily agony she was experiencing, but the letter remained in the back of her mind. Annie had traveled 2 subways to the park where she and Naruto first met because she had texted him that she wanted to meet him there. She had a million thoughts racing through her head, but all she needed to do was talk to him. Her phone beeped, and she saw the words appear right there in response. When Naruto came next to her, she felt a rush of wind blow behind her and kick her hair up. "Hey, I got your message, and I'm glad you got in touch with me," Naruto said. "Did you kill Translucent?" she inquired. "What? Naruto, if we're going to talk, I need to know something. Did you kill Translucent?" she inquired once more. Naruto replied, "No, Annie, I didn't kill anyone. How can I believe you?" she said, sighed Naruto. "You have a point. You have no reason to believe me, so maybe it's best I tell you my origin story." Naruto motioned to a park seat. Where they sat, he started telling her everything. How he came from another planet in the multiverse, how he gained his powers, what happened to knock him off his planet, and how he's been traveling across the multiverse ever since. And after stopping a megalomaniacal AI program before it could go full Skynet, I opened up another breach to my Earth but stopped too soon and wound up here. I wound up in an alley and saw all the Vought advertisements. After getting a brief rundown and information on this Earth, I got a hot dog and ended up in the park where you and Huey were sitting. "You really expect me to believe any of that?" she exclaimed, and he shrugged. "Well, if I was going to lie, why would I make something like that up? I could have just gone simpler, but it's the truth," Naruto said before activating his watch. "How about these for evidence?" Naruto activated his watch's holographic interface and began displaying Annie photographs from his multiversal trips. He showed her images he took with Kara on her planet, a super fast selfie he took with Sam and Dean on his planet, another shot he took with Liv and Ravi, and finally a photo he took when he was animated. "Okay. Starting to believe it more," she grumbled. "What made you ask me this, anyway? Did you think I killed Translucent?" Naruto questioned. "Vought and Homelander believe you did it. He claims you killed Translucent, attacked a train, and Madeline Stillwell, as well as breaking into Vought Tower," she responded. "Okay, 3 of those things I did, but I didn't kill Translucent. I broke into Vought Tower when I suspected they were doing some seriously bad things so I could get some information. Yes, I attacked a train because he was attacking someone else to cover up his own involvement in something serious at Vought. I pushed him around a bit and scared him, but he wasn't that big a threat." "You faced Homelander?" "Sort of. I took him on a run down the coast, threw a lightning bolt that knocked him into the Atlantic, and left before he could continue his search," Naruto explained. "So, Vought's coming after me now, huh?" "Vought and the 7. They have a sketch of your face and are trying to figure out who you are right now. Annie remarked, looking over her shoulder as if they were being followed. You know what, maybe we should take this somewhere else. Relax, Annie. Vought can try, but they won't be able to find me because I'm using a digital masking program that makes me essentially invisible to any security or CCTV camera Vought could access. We're safe here, Naruto informed her. How? What, can you interface with technology too? No, I'm just super smart, and I have some help, Naruto explained as he tapped his watch, activating Gideon's hologram. Say hello to Gideon. Hello, Ms. January, it's a pleasure to meet you. Hello. Annie was perplexed by what she was witnessing right now. This is Gideon, my personal artificial intelligence program, and she's been assisting me since the whole multiversal adventure thing, Naruto revealed. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please excuse my eavesdropping, but I believe I have some information that could prove very useful to this conversation and further demonstrate to Ms. January that Vought and Homelander are not to be trusted, Gideon offered. Naruto inquired, what did you find, Gideon? I recorded an illuminating conversation between Vought CEO Stan Edgar and Homelander, which I believe you should watch. Naruto looked to Annie to see whether she was willing to listen, and she paused before nodding. Okay, bring it up, Gideon. Just a moment, and may I recommend some headphones for discretion? Naruto took out his headphones and handed one to Annie before pulling out his phone and displaying the footage she filmed at Vought in Stan Edgar's office. That's his office. How did you get this? Annie inquired. Gideon secretly patched into Vought's network. It's sort of my way of getting every dirty secret they have. It's how I've been able to build my case, Naruto stated as they listened in on the chat. Homelander appeared to step in and start chatting to Stan Edgar about a new hero joining the Seven called Stormfront. Who's Stormfront? She walked into the meeting room when Homelander was telling us about you, and she said Stan Edgar hired her personally, Annie explained. Really? That doesn't seem to fit Stan Edgar from what I've observed. He wouldn't be concerned with selecting a member for a superhero team. He'd leave that to Madeline, Naruto remarked as they listened to the dialogue. Despite the presence of Homelander, Stan Edgar maintained an unusually serene demeanor, which Naruto found unsettling. That's when Edgar started talking about Frederick Vought, and things took a quick right turn when he admitted that Compound V was a Vought creation, produced by Frederick Vought and then Homelander's plan with a train. Susan and Naruto were correct. The two were smuggling Compound V around the world in order to create super terrorists and gain access to national defense. Despite Homelander's threats, Edgar maintained a serene and terrifying serenity while displaying spine-chilling suppressed might. Oh my god, Annie grumbled. Holy sh*t, Naruto said. I was right. Homelander is a monster. I can't believe it. And I'm hearing it with my own ears, Annie stated before turning to face Naruto. What does all of this mean? I don't know. Homelander is trying to make him and Vought even bigger than they already are, and the next step in that is getting into the country's national defense. If that happens, things are really screwed up, and Vought had unfathomable power and defense, Naruto explained. And it appears that Edgar knows I'm a threat to Vought, so he put Stormfront on the Seven in the hope that her powers will stop me. Do you think she can? Annie inquired. I'd like to say no, but I'm not sure what she can do, Naruto replied before turning to face her. My question is, will you assist me? Annie looked at Naruto and his phone, which was paused on a frame of Homelander and Stan Edgar. Hearing that Homelander had smuggled Compound V to terrorists and that Compound V was real was shocking, and if Naruto was correct, Vought and Homelander were responsible for a lot of awful things, and she couldn't go through with them in good conscience. How can I help? She inquired. For the time being, just keep your head down, Naruto said as he handed her a smartphone. It's encrypted so only I can call it and no one else can hack into it, and it'll help you bypass any lock or hack into a computer if you need to. I'll call you if something comes up or let me know if you need help. Be careful, Annie. I will, she said, placing the phone into her pocket and walking away. Naruto examined his phone and noticed that the tracker he had installed on Frenchie's and MM's phones indicated that they were not at the hotel. They went somewhere, hoping not to get killed, but it couldn't hurt to check on them. He flew away and arrived outside a suburban home just as Huey and Butcher were about to knock on the door. Butcher spit out, Jesus Christ, when he and Huey noticed Naruto materialize behind him. Stop doing that. Gets annoying, doesn't it? Yeah, I figured. Naruto shrugged. So, shall we go see what MM and Frenchie are up to? Butcher nodded politely before knocking on the door. They waited for a few moments before M opened the door. Size, gentlemen. When they came in, they noticed Frenchie comforting a woman hiding beneath a desk and someone reclining on a couch with his left hand cradled in a splint. Butcher said quietly to him, "Wow. Mesmer. Hello. Big fan. I'll be with you in a minute." Huey and Naruto approached Frenchie and knelt to reveal the female hidden beneath the desk. "What happened, Frenchie?" Naruto inquired. "We went to Mesmer to learn more about her, but apparently things didn't go so well. She kind of freaked out and broke his wrist," Frenchie explained. "Yeah, I figured. Whatever happened to her had to be bad." Naruto extended his hand to her, and she stepped out slowly. "Alright then, let's get cracking," Butcher replied, and they had Mesmer try again to learn more about the female's background. She clutched Frenchie's hand for support, while Mesmer took her other hand and closed their eyes. Mesmer began witnessing her history after using his talents to look into her memories. "There's a camp in the jungle. She's a soldier, and there's a flag with a two-headed snake on it," Mesmer explained. "Two-headed snake?" Butcher asked, crossing his arms in front of him, with red rays coming from behind it. "Yeah. Does that mean something?" Huey questioned. Explained, "It's the flag of the Shining Light Liberation Army. You're dating a terrorist, Frenchie." As he gazed at the girl, Frenchie was taken aback. "Is this true?" She looked up at him, and while she didn't say anything, her body language suggested that it was. Mesmer went to the restroom, and the female strolled over to the table and began painting something. No, this can't be all that. There has to be more to it. She can't be a terrorist." Butcher told him, "Yeah, well, you just fucking keep her under control." "No, Frenchie is correct," Naruto said, and they all glanced at him. If she really was an extremist and a member of his Shining Liberation or whatever group that has a hatred for America, then why would she stick around? Everything in her behavior and actions after you found her doesn't indicate an extremist but rather someone who was kidnapped and taken against their will. "What exactly do you mean?" Huey inquired. "Think about it. From what you've told me, you found her chained up in that gang warehouse, which was probably a front or a group who worked with the SLA whatever. They shipped her here and injected her with who knows how much compound V to give her powers and, from what you've told me, treated her like an animal. Then you come and give her a chance to escape, where she kills her captors and the woman who smuggled her. Even when Frenchie let her go and she had a chance to escape, she came back to help him with Black Noir." "Exactly," Frenchie added before approaching her. "Mon cœur, I know you get it. Please, tell them who you are and what I see." The female grasped both hands and told Mesmer to keep going. "The drawings are, palm trees in front of the moon. It's where she grew up. They killed her parents. They kidnapped her and her brother. Forced them to be soldiers. She just wants to go back and get her brother out of there. Her name's Kimiko." Frenchie knelt over to her and said, "Kimiko. Hello, Kimiko." "See? Told you." Naruto smirked, and Butcher only shook his head. "She's a good person who was dealt a bad hand. It's Vought and Homelander we're after, and it actually corresponds with what I just learned. This is all Homelander's idea, giving out Compound V to terrorist groups all over the world." "But why would he give out Compound V to terrorists?" Huey questioned. "Because the only thing scarier than a terrorist is a soup terrorist, and the only way to combat it is with Sergeant fucking Homelander. Got the cunts in the army now. Those fuckers are creating supervillains, and God knows how many there are," Butcher added. "Holy sh*T, Huey grumbled. "Okay, this is a clusterfuck even for us," observed. Butcher slipped on his jacket before glancing at Mesmer. "Susan's gonna have a field day with this. Vought's gonna go down big time for this one. You tell anyone what you saw or heard here today, and I'll cut your hands off and shove 'em so far up your ass, your fingers'll give us a little wave out your throat, yeah?" Mesmer extended his hand, but Butcher didn't fall for it. "Fuck off, wanker." Naruto approached and said, "And now for the polite version. He's right, you shouldn't go to Vought. If they find out you helped us and what you learned here today, they'll fire you. Trust me, we've seen them do a lot worse for people who knew nothing. Come on, guys. Let's get out of here." Everyone gathered their belongings and exited the house, heading for the cars that brought them here. "What's this?" Naruto said, pulling out a little key fob. "It's a key fob for a safe house I built in Manhattan. Given how close we are to things blowing up, staying at the hotel might not be viable for much longer, so I outfitted an old warehouse with food, clothes, supplies, and it's zinc-lined, digitally hidden, and somewhere safe in case things go bad. Start heading there as soon as you can," Naruto explained. Huey inquired, "Where are you going?" "To see Susan before Butcher." Hopefully, I'll be able to smooth things over before he inevitably messes things up and irritates her, Naruto replied. Good luck with that, M muttered as Naruto mock saluted them and Super raced away. Manhattan's secret CIA headquarters. Susan sat at her desk in her office, finishing off the last of the paperwork she had on the massive case being brought against Vought. Once everything was approved, they'd go after them, and Vought would need a miracle to keep them from sinking. While she was relieved that Vought would be buried, she hoped that Naruto would be able to stop Homelander, the Seven, and anyone else Vought had sent after them. He was quick and extremely intelligent, but could he defend them all? Beep beep. The beep from her office phone jolted her from her reverie, and she noticed it was coming from the main desk, so she hit the speaker button. What exactly is it? Sorry to bother you, Deputy Director, but there's someone here to see you. He says he's a consultant on a case you're working on. His name is Naruto Namikaze, but I don't have him in the system. I'm sending you a picture of him right now. She examined her email and noticed that it had come from the main desk, and it was a picture of Naruto making a ridiculous expression. Part of her laughed, but she also wondered why he was here and how the hell he located this secret CIA base. Yeah, he's working with me. Send him in. Right away, ma'am. When Naruto came, followed by 2 security guards, she finished completing the form and handed it to a staffer to be sent up the chain. Hello, Naruto said with a false wave. Thank you, she said to the guards, who nodded and went away before closing the door. I apologize for coming here. I know this isn't usually how we meet, but given what I just learned, we needed to meet right away, Naruto said as he sat in the chair in front of her desk. Plus, Butcher is on his way over to talk to you, so I figured I'd come and try to smooth things over and tell you exactly what's going on instead of his version of it. She nodded and said, got it. I'm glad you learned more, but how in the hell did you find this place? A little digital hacking into the city's architectural blueprints and leasing offices. I figured the only place that would have tripled titanium-lined walls with bulletproof siding, its own personal emergency elevator, and a top-of-the-line digital security network would probably be the CIA. I also checked the lease and the ownership, and given all the LLCs and dummy corporations that were tied up in it kind of helped. Is this the information you found? She inquired. No, sorry, that's for the CIA. Consider it a thank you for your assistance and for taking the risk in trusting me, Naruto said with a smile. It's mostly cyber stuff that makes shoring up digital defenses 100 times easier. Not even the best hackers in the world can get past the encryptions on that drive, plus some other things like energy research for new clean fuel sources, environmental repairs that could be done, and blueprints for some fun things. Thank you, Susan said, setting the flash drive aside for the time being, leaving one on the table. Is that the information you were able to obtain? No, that's something else, and something Butcher probably wants, Naruto explained. It took a while to put it all together, between going through all of Madeline Stillwell's files and then finding the unredacted hardcopy ones, and then digging through millions of files in a private hospital only to realize that Vought took them years ago, but I managed to get lucky with billing information, and then I had to do some more investigating into Dr. Jonah Vogelbaum. Susan questioned, Vought's former chief of biology and research. Naruto nodded. What did you find out? Susan was taken aback when Naruto said, the location of Butcher's wife, Becca. She took the flash drive and put it in, and it immediately told her all Naruto knew, which caught her off guard. Yeah, that's how I felt when I learned everything. Susan yelled, fucking hell. I'm not sure how Butcher will take the news given how vocal he's been about his hatred for Soups, but he deserves to know she's alive. Granted, she's under constant surveillance and guard at a secret Vought facility in upstate Connecticut, but he now knows, Naruto said. Susan remarked, you're too nice for your own good. It's the first time I've been told that, but I have a dark side as well, Naruto said. Why don't you give this information to Butcher yourself? Susan asked. Well, he's been tolerant of me so far, but I don't think he'd trust me if I told him I got this. You, on the other hand, more likely. Besides, I could do without the inevitable dozen cuss words he'll send my way, Naruto noted. Fair enough. So, what did you learn that brought you here, or anything else? Susan inquired. Well, 2 things. First, I have someone on the inside of Vought who can get us more intel and tell us what they're up to, Naruto explained. Who? I actually met Annie January aka Starlight when I first arrived on this planet and helped her when she was going through a lot, Naruto explained. You sure it's a good idea to bring her into this? Especially one of the 7? If anything, she'd have everything to gain from stopping you. How do you know she's not working you as part of some double cross? Susan questioned. Because it's not in her nature. I did some thorough psychoanalytical evaluation and investigations into the Seven for research, and that's how I concluded that Starlight would help. Naruto stated as he took out his phone and handed her a USB connector so she could plug in and download the file. Chemists, hacker, computer expert, biologist, and now a psychoanalyst. Maybe you should give up your superhero job and work in the private sector. You'd probably make a fortune. Susan pointed out and noticed the Seven's psychological data. Well, when I'm not in costume, I run a private science company and think tank. I'm curious how things have been since I've been gone, Naruto mumbled. You know what? Nothing you say anymore surprises me. Do you really think Starlight will help you? Susan asked simply. I do. She's not like others. Call her naive, but I call her genuine, and she genuinely wants to help people. It's Vought who's the problem, and she already proved to be on our side because she gave me the heads up. Naruto informed you. Well, it was only a matter of time after you went after Madeline and your scuffle with Homelander, Susan pointed out. You think you'll be able to stay one step ahead of them? I already am. Gideon is still patched into their network, and despite all their searches, they haven't found anything on me because I wasn't born on this earth. For the time being, they just think I'm someone who was experimented on with Compound V and have every single asset they have searching for me, which will give them nothing. Naruto held up his watch. My watch emits a digital frequency jamming signature, so every camera attached to a network that Vought has that I walk past doesn't get a single image of me. It's how I sneaked into their building. The only way they'll actually find me is if I let them or they see me walking down the street. You don't seem concerned that they know what you look like now. Either you're extremely cocky and confident in your speed, or you don't think Vought is a big deal, Susan observed. It's the first one, but not cocky, just confident. Anyway, Starlight also let me know that the Seven have a new member to replace Translucent. A female soup named Stormfront. Naruto showed her a photo of the soup he managed to retrieve from Vought's files. There's not a lot in Vought's files about her. She has flight, super strength, durability, and is an electrokinetic. Stan Edgar personally brought her onto the Seven. Thought she might be able to take me down. Susan's gaze never left the monitor after Naruto showed her the Stormfront photo. It was as though something clicked in her brain. Did Stan Edgar bring her on? Yeah, to take me down. Are you okay? Naruto inquired. You look like you've seen a ghost. I recognize her, Susan said to Naruto. Really? I checked Vought's files, and she's kind of a nothing, Naruto said, prompting Susan to retrieve a file from her desk and deliver it to him. He opened it to find an old Budweiser ad that looked like something out of a 1960s magazine, featuring a female soup named Liberty. Who's Liberty? She was a second-tier soup who was active in the 1970s but no one ever saw her again. One of my first assignments for the CIA working for Grace was digging up dirt and leads on Vought's soups that were bad. She was one of them. Didn't get a lot, but I did manage to get a lead before she went into hiding. I was going to push my investigation on, but nothing seemed to pan out. Susan then took out an old photo of Liberty showing her face. While the hood and mask generally hid her face, they didn't this time, allowing for a clear image. That's when Naruto saw she resembled Stormfront. Naruto said beneath his breath, "Holy shit." Yeah. Stan Edgar is too powerful to not know everything about his soups, so he definitely has to know that Stormfront used to be Liberty. Follow up on my lead from a few years ago. It was someone who knew Liberty back then. Maybe they could give us something to use and, at the very least, some more information on her. Susan handed him the file, which had an address in North Carolina on the back. Everything is coming together, and it won't be long before Vought falls, Naruto said, and she nodded. Last of the paperwork was pushed through, and we're bringing in Madeline Stillwell this time tomorrow, Susan promised him as Naruto handed her yet another flash drive. Add Stan Edgar to that list. You're going to want to watch this, Naruto said as the door opened and Butcher entered. Butcher, isn't it about time you showed up? Butcher inquired. What the fuck are you doing here? Working the case. And you do remember that I can break the sound barrier in my sneakers, so I got here before you did. Just filling you in on my latest breakthrough. You're actually going to want to listen to it because Homelander's in it, Naruto said as Butcher approached. He and Susan watched the footage and observed the exchange between Stan Edgar and Homelander, as well as the information they obtained from Mesmer. Naruto advised she send some agents to bring him in for his safety and to prevent him from squealing to Vought, and she agreed. She worked that up, and things quickly devolved into an altercation. To say the least, they had a lot riding on Vought to go after them legally. Butcher was enthusiastic, but Susan seemed hesitant. What's the big fucking deal? We've got what we can on these twats, so let's tear them a new one and light some fireworks, exclaimed Butcher. It's no longer that simple, Butcher. Naruto's new information has just made things a little more complicated, Susan pointed out. Complicated how? We always knew how horrible Vought is, and now we've got bloody proof of their star-spangled mascot and their fucking CEO with conspiracy, Butcher exclaimed. Who has shipped Compound V to terrorists all over the world? It's now a global issue, Susan exclaimed. Fuck the world, exclaimed Butcher. Did you two used to date? Naruto was sitting in his chair, staring at the two in amazement. I'm picking up on a lot of tension that goes beyond just a work relationship. Messy breakup? Butcher remarked. Fuck off. Naruto mumbled, I'll take that as a yes. I get it, Butcher. I want Vought taken down as much as you do, but things just got a lot more complicated. I'm ready to take Vought down as soon as we can, but there are variables out there that we need to make sure are dealt with, Susan explained. Oh, fuck the governmental jargon, Susan. Just say it. You're scared, Butcher encouraged her. Damn right, I'm scared. We've got a lot on Vought in the 7, but now that Compound V is out there and there's already one successful case of a new adult soup, there could be more out there and we have no idea how many there are or where they're coming from, she told Butcher. Naruto sat there listening to them argue and Butcher curse her repeatedly. He stopped counting after he had 24 curse words in a row. Susan was correct in stating that having Compound V in the hands of terrorist groups was a problem. It would be extremely difficult to track down everything a train and Homelander had dropped off the Compound V, and they had no idea how long they had been at it. They'd been playing catch-up so far, so perhaps it was time to plan ahead? What about a cure? Offered Naruto. A what? Butcher was surprised to hear that. Naruto stated, a cure for Compound V, Susan's right. There could be more people out there like Kimiko that we don't know about, and we have no idea where they are or what they can do. Tracking them all down could be next to impossible, so maybe we go at them together instead of working against them one at a time. Do you think you could actually make a cure for Compound V? Susan inquired, and he considered it more. I've done a thorough analysis of the compound, so I know a lot about it, and I've run various simulations on its effectiveness, plus I have Vought's data on their tests, Naruto speculated. So, instead of tracking down and killing these super terrorists one by one, we'll have to cure them one by one? Butcher sneered. If you allow me to finish my point, I was going to suggest that I could make the cure aerosol so that it encompasses a larger area like a gas, much like smoke or the air itself. I could make enough to spread out across the planet, or make it so that anyone who comes into contact with the gas is able to spread it to the people next to them and so on, like insects do to cross-pollinate plants, Naruto suggested, running the math and chemistry through his head. Susan inquired, how long would it take you to do that? Naruto shrugged. Honestly, I don't know, but I'll have Gideon work non-stop on the science of it. I think she'll be able to work out the problems, and I have enough to get started, but if we're actually okay with this idea, then I'd need some equipment to make enough gas to do what I suggested, Naruto said. What kind of equipment? Susan said as she took out a notepad for him. Off the top of my head, possibly. Some military rockets and a chemical bomb dispersal unit for starters, Naruto said, looking her in the eyes. Yeah, I know, but if not that, I'd need some components to build it. Would this gas you said you could make work on Homelander? Butcher inquired, and Naruto nodded. In theory, if I created this gas to depower the super terrorists that Homelander created, it would affect everyone who was injected with Compound V, so every single soup, including Homelander, would lose their powers, Naruto replied. Which would actually help us because it would ensure that the soups that the government is going to prosecute are no longer able to use their powers to escape or harm anyone. Butcher remarked, sounds like heaven to me. It all depends on whether your cure works, Susan reminded out. True, which is a big if right now, but considering everything we know, it's the best option there is. I'll get to work, Naruto said. His super brilliant intellect hadn't failed him yet, so maybe it wouldn't here, but if things went wrong, he was prepared to battle. Given his background, this was a foregone conclusion. XXXXX line break Manhattan as a district of New York City. At noon, it was a gorgeous sunny day in New York, with the sun shining brightly over the metropolis. People were out for lunch, so the streets were congested with visitors, New Yorkers, and the working lunch rush. A woman was walking down the street wearing boots, jeans, a white long-sleeve shirt, sunglasses, and a gray beanie on her head, with her red hair tied up in a bun. It was Queen Maeve, also known as Margaret Maggie Shaw. She had exited Vought Tower by the back door, leaving no one the wiser and no one recognizing her. She passed a business with TVs in the windows that were showing the newest Vought 7 news, which was the official debut of Stormfront on the 7. There was a little ceremony in front of Vought, with only Stan Edgar and Madeline Stillwell introducing the world to the 7's newest member. She followed the directions to Jordan's Cafe, a tiny eatery that served American classics and was widely renowned for its affordable breakfasts and brunches. She took a cursory check around the room to see if there was anything unusual or noticeable. Following Homelander's declaration of war, the whole crime analytics team has been assigned to their mystery supervillain, and she had a talk with Elena that left her with a sour aftertaste. It was her fault because she arrived to Elena's house drunk, so Elena understandably wanted to check on her. The last thing she wanted was to cope with this, yet a part of her wondered whether Elena had anything to do with it. Maggie approached the podium as the hostess returned to it. "Hello. Welcome to Jordan's Cafe? Table for one?" "Actually, I'm here to see someone. Nathan?" she inquired. "Oh, Nathan. He's a regular of ours. Eats enough for 4 people but is a great tipper. He's inside." The hostess took a menu and led her inside to a little table in the corner. Maeve could see a man sitting in the chair against the wall, but he had the menu up so she couldn't see his face. "Here you go, Nathan. What will it be today?" I think I'll go with the ultimate breakfast omelet to start the day," Nathan said. "And I'm guessing pancakes after that?" the hostess inquired, scribbling the order on her notepad. "Yup. Banana chocolate please." "Got it." The hostess completed taking Maggie's order as she sat down and was handed a menu. "I'll be right back to get your order." "Thank you," Maggie said as Nathan handed the hostess his menu, giving her a good look at him. To say she was taken aback when she saw the spiky blonde-haired scar-faced man Homelander claimed had slain Translucent and the person they were looking for was an understatement. He was sitting in a cafe, drinking coffee and ordering breakfast. "I do recommend the pancakes if you're in the mood for a sweat breakfast. Their waffles are okay but the pancakes are so much better. But if you're looking for something savory, then omelets or their eggs benedicts," Naruto said, adding some cream to his coffee before stirring it with his spoon. He sipped his drink and noted Maggie was still tense. "Relax, Maggie. This is a public place, and I just ordered food. I don't intend to start anything, so relax and order some breakfast. I just want to talk." Maggie remained seated, but kept her attention fixed on Nathan, grabbing the knife from the table and concealing it in her lap. "Talk? Do you want to talk?" "Yeah. Nothing wrong with a nice conversation over good food, as long as it's a nice conversation so you don't have to use the knife you took from the table," Naruto said. "Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Shaw. Or would you prefer Maggie?" "How do you know my name?" she inquired, taking another drink of his coffee. "I'm resourceful, but not in a creepy or menacing way. I'm just good at my job," Naruto replied. "Have you decided on what you want to eat?" "What exactly is your job? And why am I here?" Maggie said, ignoring his question, and he sighed, so he answered her questions to put her at ease. "Well, my job is actually similar to yours. I help people, and part of the reason you're here is because you know Homelander is a monster who must be stopped," Naruto replied. "Given that you've worked with him for years, you probably know more than most, but first let's address the elephant in the room, which is your apprehension, fear, and willingness to stab me in the neck with that butter knife to stop me." Thought crossed my mind. "Well, you can relax because I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk. And, contrary to what Homelander has said about me, no, I did not kill Translucent. I'm not exactly crying that he's gone considering that the camouflage psychopath used his powers to spy and creep on innocent women while Vought paid them off to keep their silence, but I didn't kill him." Maggie questioned him, "And you expect me to take your word for it?" "Well, you could, but I doubt you would. You're not stupid enough to take my word for it, but you're also not stupid enough to be oblivious to the threat that Homelander is, considering what happened on transoceanic flight number 37, Naruto said, and Maggie stiffened before tightening her fist around the knife. "I'm not sure what you're talking about. The terrorists hijacked the plane and crashed it before we could stop them," Maggie explained, but the break in her voice was a dead giveaway. "Nice try on the delivery, but as I suspected, you're not a sociopath like Homelander. I mean, to willingly leave all those innocent people behind because he thought they didn't matter, only to then make an impassioned speech to the media in order to get soups in the military. Makes you wonder what else he's capable of, like say, masterminding the birth of super terrorists in order to get what he wants and killing anyone who gets in his way. You might want to put those in there so no one eavesdrops. Maggie lowered her gaze to the phone before inserting the headphones and pressing play to view the recorded movies and audio files. She listened to Homelander and Madeline discussing the mayor of Baltimore's death in Compound V, a Train and Popclaw discussing Compound V, and then Stan Edgar and Homelander's chat. She initially assumed that these videos were digitally created, yet everything appeared to be genuine. Hearing everything that was going on, she knew Homelander was dangerous, but not this awful. "Ready to order?" said the hostess as she strolled back over. "I'll take the strawberry pancakes and please hurry," Maggie said as she handed her the menu to usher her away. "Got it. I'll be right back with your orders," the hostess said as she walked away to put the ticket in the kitchen. Naruto remarked, "Nice choice, by the way. This could all be a hoax," Maggie said. "True, and the rational and skeptical part of you wants to believe that, but I think the cynic and part of you that knows Homelander as well as you probably do, doesn't. I mean, he's the one who didn't even try to save those people and let them die for his own benefit. Not really a hero, is he?" Naruto said, sipping his orange juice. "And a part of me wanted to dismiss you as the same, but you actually tried to help, which gives you a small bump from the alcoholic cynic I thought you were. No offense. None have been taken, and you can accuse me all you want, but you don't know anything," Maggie informed him. "No, I actually know quite a bit. You see, I am aware of the truth. Concerning what occurred on Transoceanic Flight 37, I have video proof that contradicts what Homelander informed the public about what transpired." Naruto took his phone back and played another video on quiet. He showed her a recording from the plane accident on his phone. It shows Maeve and Homelander conversing before he punched the emergency door open. Maeve tried to persuade him to spare a woman and her daughter, but he refused, and as the other passengers came over to him, his eyes gleamed and he threatened to murder them all. Maggie's throat jumped down into her stomach, and for the first time in her life, she felt great remorse and anxiety. "I'm sure you recall this. Hearing him threaten to laser them all was difficult to bear, but you did try to save the mother and girl, for which I commend you." When the hostess came with their order, Naruto paused the video and placed the phone in his pocket. "Ultimate breakfast omelet with pancakes and strawberry pancakes on the side. Is there anything else I can get you? Could I please have some more juice and coffee?" Naruto inquired, and she nodded. He placed his napkin on his lap and reached for his fork, but Maggie was still sitting. "Go ahead and do it. Dig in. Hot pancakes are preferable." When the hostess came with more coffee and juice, she watched Naruto eat into his omelet and hash browns. "What exactly do you want?" Maggie inquired. "Excuse me?" Naruto inquired. "You've had that video for so long and no one knows about it, which means you're using it against me. What do you desire? Money?" Maggie inquired, and Naruto wiped his brow. "You're wrong, Maggie. I did not show you the footage in an attempt to blackmail you. I showed you the video to emphasize my point. You attempted to save them." Naruto told her, emphasizing the word, try. "You're a cynic and an alcoholic with a good heart. Vought and all the compromises you've had to make to reach where you are today have basically beaten it into submission. I don't hold you responsible for what happened. This is not your fault. You did what you believed was best given the circumstances, and I'm happy to announce that, in comparison to the rest of the 7, you could deserve the powers they were given." "Really? How well do you know us?" Maggie made a remark. "Well, Homelander is a sociopath, and as you've just learned, he doesn't care about human life as long as he gets what he wants. Black Noir is only Vought's trained assassin. A train is simply a drugged-up famous athlete prepared to go to any length to stay on top of his game. The Deep is nothing more than a predator and pervert who has gotten what he deserves. The same goes for Translucent. The exceptions are you and Starlight." Naruto stated this. "You seem pretty certain about everything." Maggie made a remark. "Am I doing something wrong?" he inquired, and she shrugged. "I'm observant and a good character judge. It's one of the reasons we're getting together. I need your assistance." "Do you want me to assist you? What exactly are you going to do?"
"Simple. Take down Vought and ensure that Homelander cannot harm anyone. Elena is one of them." Maggie furrowed her brows at Naruto's words. "She's fine, relax. I've never met her before. I'm simply saying she'll be safe, and you and she can go back to being happy without Homelander hovering over your shoulders. That has to be appealing."
"Do you think I'll turn against Vought on your word?" Maggie laughed. "No, that is up to your conscience and heart. Sure, Vought pays your bills and makes you famous, but can you look me in the eyes and tell me it was all worth it? Would you make the same decisions if you could go back in time and know what you know now? Naruto pondered this as he finished the last piece of his omelet and moved on to his pancakes. If you really knew the truth about what Vought has been doing, you might think differently. And you're gonna be the one to take them down? She inquired. Well, I'm working with others who understand how dangerous Vought and Homelander are. I realize I haven't done the best job of persuading you, and now that Homelander has convinced you that I'm the bad guy, a part of you is undoubtedly plotting how to take me in. Which you could attempt, but I'm not sure if it's in your best interests. You'll still be a slave for Vought, and Homelander has you under his control, so you won't be able to enjoy your life. Naruto mentioned this while devouring his pancakes rapidly. He wiped his mouth and placed his napkin on his plate before pulling out some cash to pay for the lunch and a business card with a phone number on it. Something about Vought will come to light sooner or later. If you change your mind, please contact me. If you can assist me, I guarantee you and Alina's safety and a life free of Vought and Homelander. And I'm known for honoring my promises. Naruto bid her farewell and walked out of the cafe, leaving Maggie to consider his suggestion. She didn't know anything about this guy, and while she didn't know if he was telling the truth, the evidence he gave her seemed to suggest he was. Instead of blackmailing her, he pleaded for her assistance. She wasn't sure what to think, but being free of Homelander sounded appealing. Naruto strolled along the street, and when he came across an empty alley, he broke into a sprint and super accelerated out of the city and down the East Coast to North Carolina to see if Susan's information on Liberty, Stormfront could help them. The state of North Carolina. Naruto had sped down the East Coast till he arrived in North Carolina and stopped to use the restroom at a gas station. He went to the pay register after using the restroom to purchase a bottle of water. He stood in line and paid for his water before exiting the gas station and sipping it while eating one of his Speedster calorie energy bars. As he finished the energy bar, his phone rang with a text message that said, "We're bringing her in now. Let us hope you were correct." Naruto said, "Me too," before cracking his neck and continuing on his journey. He came to a halt on the street in the middle of a pleasant North Carolina suburb and double-checked the address before walking up to the house and banging on the door. For a few seconds, there was no reaction until he heard some locks sliding and an elderly black woman opened the door. "Yes. Hello. Sorry for bothering you. Naruto is my name. This may sound unusual, but I'm a consultant who was advised that someone at this address might have some information on Liberty for me." Naruto explained, but the moment she looked at him, he knew he was in the proper spot. "No." Naruto took a breath and knocked again after the woman closed and shut the door. The woman returned and opened the door. "Please leave." "Ma'am, I apologize if this is an inconvenient time, but I only need 5 minutes." Naruto made a pledge. "Please leave me alone. I received your damn money, signed your damn papers, and remained silent," she informed him.
I'm not with Vought, ma'am. Not at all. I came to you to learn everything I could about Liberty in order to assist some well-meaning folks in bringing Vought down. Naruto informed her.
"Then you're a complete moron. They are unstoppable," she said. "Just leave." "Ma'am, please just hear me out," Naruto begged, and she agreed. "I'm not sure what you've seen or what happened with Liberty, but we both know the soup's Vought controls are terrible.
They control the media and how people perceive them, and those they can't fool, they blackmail, intimidate, or even kill in order to maintain control. And now they're making their way into the military, but it won't be enough for them for long. I've been trying to bring them down for a long time, and I've seen firsthand how nasty they can be. The police and media are unable to intervene because they don't believe individuals like us, but I've never been one to turn away when I see anything wrong. And I'm going to make Vought pay for what they've done to you and others like you. I swear on my life." The woman gritted her teeth and shook her head before allowing him inside her living room. "I mean, it has now been 48 years. What good is worrying about all of this now?" the woman asked.
"Every little amount helps me get closer and closer to them. Regardless of when or what. I must hear it," he informed her. She groaned and settled into a chair. "I attempted to persuade them to pay attention. I tried several times, believe me. But in these parts, a small black girl accusing a white superhero of murder? It was one of those July rainstorms that you could tell was coming because of the smell in the air. I was 11 years old and dozing in the back seat of my parents' Ford. Myron, my brother, was driving." She described what had transpired, what Liberty had said to her brother, and how horrible she was. Liberty didn't care about the facts. All she needed was a reason to murder a black man right then and there. I wanted to go to the police station, but my parents thought it was pointless. So when the Vought man walked up and gave us that money, we immediately accepted it. $2,000 in cash. That was the value of my brother's life, just $2,000. Ma'am, the gentleman from Vought, do you remember how he looked? Naruto inquired, and she nodded. A young black man in a power suit with glasses. He approached my parents and instructed us to be silent and take the money. Naruto decided to take a chance and pull out his phone after she spat. Is this really him? She nodded as he showed her a photograph of Stan Edgar. You must promise me that you will not tell anyone that I sat here and talked to you. Because if she finds out I opened my mouth, she's going to murder me. She begged him to listen to her. Who? Naruto inquired as the woman walked over to retrieve her newspaper and brought it over to show him the headline and front page photo of Stormfront. That's Liberty? She's the one. Walking around as America's sweetheart. The woman murmured this before collapsing in her chair, exhausted. Naruto took a deep breath before approaching her and holding her hand in his. You are extremely brave considering what you have had to deal with your entire life. Nobody can convince you otherwise. Keep an eye on the news in the coming days. Something tells me you'll enjoy what you see. I swear. Naruto kissed her hands and kissed her goodbye. He strolled down the street, got out his phone, and texted Annie, saying, "Find out what you can on Stormfront as soon as possible." The city of New York. Following Stormfront's induction ceremony, Madeline Stillwell was approached by federal officers and transported to an FBI building where some FBI officers and Susan were waiting to debrief her. I apologize. I'm worried I'm not paying attention, Madeline informed them. You and your company are screwed. Unambiguously, unilaterally fucked. How does that sound? Is that clearer now? You've been telling the American people for the last half-century that your superheroes are chosen by God. Susan then displayed a small amount of compound V. I mean, I understand. Jamming illegal substances into babies' limbs doesn't have the same ring, and that's not even the worst of it. What did you do to this one, and why did you do it? Susan showed her a photo of Kimiko, but Madeline remained deafeningly silent. I've never seen anyone like her in my entire life. What exactly do you want? Madeline inquired. First and foremost, there will be no superheroes in the United States Armed Forces, Susan stated this. The bill is already on the floor. They'll vote on it any day now, Madeline told her. And you're doing it. Retooling the concept for internal use. I couldn't care less, but the transaction is dead, Susan informed her.
And what if I don't? Madeline was perplexed. You appear to have misunderstood something, Ms. Stillwell. This isn't a bargain. I've got a whole load of other crap on you. Vought is on its way out. The falling stock price, civil cases, criminal prosecution, and bankruptcy are merely the tip of the iceberg. When there was a knock on the door, Susan informed her. The meeting finished with her being delivered a message. The strategy was thrown into disarray when the CIA learned of a Navy SEAL team being kidnapped in the Middle East, and the perpetrator was a soup terrorist. They knew Homelander's plot didn't end with Kimiko, but they weren't expecting a super terrorist to appear so swiftly.
The Vought Tower was still open for business, but Madeline had gone to work with Homelander and Stormfront on some public relations. Annie took advantage of the chance to gather information. Gideon was still linked to the tower's security system, so when Annie got to the floor where Stormfront's room was, the surveillance cameras were set to loop so she could sneak in without being noticed. She entered Stormfront's room to look around and then discovered her laptop, which she opened but required a password. She had no idea what it was, but she plugged a USB cable into the laptop and then into the phone Naruto had given her. A small computer text box appeared on the screen before few lines of code appeared, and the laptop was unlocked after a few seconds. She grinned and started looking around for anything interesting, and she found a number of emails between Stormfront and someplace called Sage Grove about experiments being done, as well as correspondence from Stan Edgar regarding test progress, so she copied all the emails onto the phone before unplugging it. She searched the rest of the room for anything else useful, but there was nothing in the drawers or closets. She was about to leave after making sure nothing was disrupted or out of place, when she noticed a trunk she hadn't checked. When she opened it, it was full with ancient mementos. Annie took up an old military headgear and noticed the Nazi symbol on the front. She dropped it and picked up what she thought was a flag but was actually an old red-white cape and sweatshirt like a soup costume. Next to it were several old photos that were held together with a rubber band. The first shot showed Stormfront with an elderly woman who resembled her grandmother. The next image was shocking because it was a black and white photograph of Stormfront with Nazi party members Himmler and Goebbels, as well as Frederick Vought, during their wedding in Nazi Germany. "Oh my God," Annie mumbled. Even though she was seeing it and holding it in her hands, she couldn't believe it. Stormfront was Frederick Vought's wife and a Nazi. She returned to the trunk and got everything else out. Photos of the awful trials done in the camps for Frederick Vought to test Compound V, records and letters from Nazi high command on his progress, and even Stormfront's birth certificate. She then closed the trunk and kept all the papers together before exiting Stormfront's room and walked down the hall to the elevator. "Come on, come on, come on, come on." She quickly hit the button, and the elevator arrived, but Maeve was already in it. Annie took a big breath and walked in, attempting to seem as cool as possible but clearly visible to be on edge. "You all right?" Maeve was perplexed. "Fine." Annie responded swiftly as she saw the floor count go slowly. Maeve watched Annie tapping her foot quickly and maintaining a firm grasp on the papers in her arm. "What's the deal with the papers?" Sort of a personal project." When the elevator arrived on her floor, Annie replied and walked out as quickly as she could. Maeve was intrigued as she watched her leave. She was expecting another humorous remark or joke, but Annie looked busy with something vital. She transferred all of the images, documents, and information from Stormfront to her purse before changing into civilian clothes. She exited the freight entrance and zipped up her sweater's hoodie before joining the civilian traffic. She had no idea she was being followed by a Vought security guard dressed in civilian clothing. Homelander has instructed security to be on high alert and to monitor all workers and 7 members for any unusual activity. Starlight sneaking out of the building via the freight lobby rather than the front door qualifies. He followed her out of the building and onto the street, where they were met with civilian traffic. Annie was being followed, so she turned behind her. The guard tried to blend in and behave like any other person on the street, but she could tell he was trying too hard. She continued going and took out the phone Naruto had given her before texting him. "I'm being followed." She had to come to a halt at the crosswalk and received a text that said, "I'll handle it." When the crossing light changed, Annie continued walking, and the guard followed her, but he lost sight of her halfway across the street. He blinked, and she and everyone else vanished, leaving him staring at the base of the Statue of Liberty. What the? The security guard had no idea how he wound himself on Liberty Island. Annie continued strolling down the street when she noticed Naruto tipping at a hot dog cart. "Hey, how about a hot dog?" he offered, but she declined with a shake of her head. "How much food do you eat?" She was perplexed. One disadvantage of super speed is hypermetabolism. I have to keep it up with lots of food or else I'll be useless. The disadvantage is that I cannot get drunk. On the plus side, I'm still a supermodel. I mean, really. These abs. Naruto lowered his shirt to reveal his 8-pack, and she laughed as other women walking by whistled and catcalled him. "I'll be staying here all week." Annie commented, "Charming. Sorry. So, what's the deal? Did you come across anything on Stormfront?" he inquired, and she nodded.
"Oh sure, a lot of things. We should locate a quiet spot to discuss," she informed him.
"Right. Please follow me. I'll introduce you to everyone else."
Naruto escorted her through the city to the boys' hideout, where they awaited her. It was time to put everything together. They arrived at the safe house after a pleasant walk. He tapped a button on his watch, and the door unlocked, allowing Annie and himself to enter before closing it.
Annie noticed it had a number of complicated locks, which re-engaged when he tapped his watch again. She looked around to find that the entry was actually to a garage, as she noticed a van and various automobiles, as well as another door, so Naruto led her inside.
Inside, she saw a makeshift living area with a kitchen, several couches, a TV, and a lab at the far end, as well as another door that likely led to a bathroom or sleeping chambers. Was on the couch, working on his laptop and texting with his family, while Kimiko was in the kitchen with Frenchie, making madeleines, and Butcher was at the table, eating some meal.
"Look at this." Before going to help Kimiko with the batter, Frenchie took a fresh batch out of the oven. "Oh, no, you fold instead of stirring. That's what gives them their spongy texture. Here you have it." She grinned and waved when she saw Naruto, but she stopped when she saw Annie. When Frenchie and the others noticed her, they tensed, and Naruto stepped forward. "Everyone, take a deep breath. She's here to assist." "Are you certain about that? You are aware that you have just brought one of the 7 here? Butcher brought this up."
"Yes, I'm aware of that, Butcher, but I sought assistance from Annie." We met before I had started fighting Vought, so unclench your butt cheeks and remove your hand from your pistol. Naruto informed him, and Kimiko chuckled before signing.
She thought that was funny. Frenchie did the translation.
Thank you very much, Kimiko. And they looked delectable. Naruto approached, took a madeleine from the rack, and devoured half of it in one mouthful. Oh, these are delicious. How is my science project coming along? I meticulously followed Gideon's recommendations. She'll notify us when it's completed. Before handing Annie a madeleine, Frenchie informed him. Would you like to have one? I'm okay for now. She responded when they heard a flush and Huey exited the restroom through the back door. Huey. Annie. Huey was surprised to see her. Naruto smacked his forehead for not anticipating this when he saw the two glance at each other.
It slipped my mind that you two were getting serious. Damn, I'm a moron. Naruto mumbled.
Did it slip your mind? Inquired. Yes. My intellect is faster than a supercomputer, but things sometimes slip through my fingers, Naruto stated before turning to face Annie and Huey. I know you two have a lot of questions and need to talk things out, but let's save that for later. I can assure you that Huffy's relationship with Annie has nothing to do with what we're doing against Vought. That is genuine, and I promise you two can hash it out later, but first we need to talk about going on.
Alright, but we are talking. Annie focused on the work at hand by looking at Huey and then at Naruto. Right. So, what exactly is she doing here? Huey inquired.
She's assisting us in bringing down Vought and the Seven. I asked her to look into Stormfront based on what I learned in North Carolina from Susan's tip. Naruto responded. What did you learn? Wenham inquired. They gathered around the kitchen table. Susan gave me a file on Liberty, an old soup from the 1970s. She was working on a file when she first began investigating soups, and after viewing Stormfront, she began to assume the two were the same person. Naruto approached a desk, pulled out the file Susan had given him, and showed them the picture of Liberty, followed by the one from Stormfront. They were exactly the same. It turns out her intuition was correct. I met a woman down there who had an altercation with Liberty.
What kind of a run-in? Looking at the old Liberty advertisement, Frenchie inquired.
Turns out Liberty murdered her brother under false pretenses, but based on her description, she didn't need much of a reason other than the color of his skin. The woman acknowledged that Liberty and Stormfront are the same person, and that she is nothing more than a racist soup who enjoys murdering people who look different. Naruto elaborated. That's quite charming, Huey remarked wryly, but then Stormfront would be, what, 60 or 70 years old?
Actually, she's a lot older than that. Annie grabbed the papers from her purse and placed them on the table. Naruto chose one that depicted Stormfront with Frederick Vought and Nazi high command commanders. I was not expecting this, he noted before turning it around so everyone could see. Hell on earth. Butcher mumbled, dumbfounded for the first time. The group went over all of Annie's paperwork and images, which were incredible. I've seen a lot of things, but never did I expect to see this. Frenchie flipped through the photographs, still stunned.
So, America's newest love interest is a Nazi. You've got to love this country. Butcher chuckled as he set the photograph down. It's not just her. Vought has been rotten to the core since its inception. Looking over the personal notes and documents from Frederick Vought and his work at the Dachau concentration camp, Naruto stated. What Vought did to those prisoners at Dachau? I don't know how to describe it. You okay? Huey inquired, and Naruto set the documents aside before taking a big breath. No, I'm fine. It's just, in my life, I've killed one person in a fit of wrath, and it took me a long time to recover. I've accepted it, and I'm wise enough to understand that murdering is a part of life, but I swore I'd never do it unless I had no other option. But after seeing all of this, there's nothing I'd rather do than time travel back to World War II and execute Frederick Vought for what he did. Butcher smirked as Naruto responded. There you have it, I'm starting to like you now. Butcher stated as he walked over to get a drink of water, clapping him on the shoulder.
So Stormfront had to be one of the first people to be experimented on with Compound V, and she's been living the entire time. Do you believe anyone at Vought is telling the truth? Was perplexed.
I'm not sure, but Stan Edgar appears to be too much of a control freak to be unaware of the truth. Furthermore, the fact that he personally invited Stormfront implies that he knows more about her than the customary nonsense Vought tells the public. Naruto brought this up.
Must be willing to make some kind of compromise in order to take you out, Frenchie told Naruto. It makes no difference, they're all falling, Naruto stated this. Amen to that. Butcher stated that they heard a loud ping, as if the oven had gone off. Jesus, Frenchie, how much money are you cooking? It wasn't oven time, it was the timer on the clock. Chiller that circulates. Frenchie mentioned it. When Naruto headed over to the lab, the others followed, and Annie noticed all of the high-tech and pricey equipment that would be found in a state-of-the-art lab or Vought. Where did you get all of this? Annie inquired. Naruto relived the moment he received it. Flashback. She had to make a lot of calls and pledges to get what Naruto needed shortly after his meeting with Susan and Butcher and his offer to build a cure, and even then she wasn't able to get it all. Mallory was the only one who could help them, so she made several calls to people she knew. Naruto, Susan, and Mallory were waiting at an old CIA rendezvous place by the river near the Brooklyn Bridge. They'd been there for approximately 5 minutes when a 26-foot U-Haul rental truck pulled up and stopped. The man driver stepped out and approached with the keys in one hand. Did you manage to get everything? Mallory inquired. It wasn't easy at the last second, but yeah. Fortunately, I had this stuff on hand, but it won't be cheap, Mallory. She nodded to Naruto after the man told her. He approached her and handed her a tiny pouch, which she promptly flung to the driver. When he opened it, he discovered it was full of gold money and diamonds. I have to ask, Mallory, what are you going to do with all of this? It's probably better that you don't know for your own safety, but it's going to be used for the right reasons, she informed him. Before departing, he nodded and handed her the keys to the truck. You just so happen to have that much gold and diamonds on you? Susan inquired. Souvenirs from my travels. As they walked to the back, Naruto unlocked the door to display all of the high-tech equipment he would need to work on the cure. The 5 chemical explosives, however, were the most important item in the shipment. They were about the size of a car engine and were removed from their rockets because they contained no chemical ingredients. It was only the chemical dispersal device that was capable of disseminating a chemical agent over a half-mile radius. If he was going to get the medicine into the air, he required a chemical dispersion device, and luckily Mallory knew some folks who had obsolete ones that no one would miss. I'm a little uncomfortable with this. Susan mentioned it, and Mallory agreed. I'm in the same boat, but if I'm going to make the cure airborne, I'll need a chemical dispersion device, Naruto informed them. I really hope you know what you're doing, Mallory informed him. I wouldn't have asked for it if I didn't need it, he promised as he closed the trunk and handed her the keys. No need. He took out the PIM particle shrink ray from his satchel. He scanned the trunk and shrunk it to the size of a deck of cards before picking it up. What in the hell did you just do? Susan inquired, and he displayed his shrink ray. What is a shrink ray? Do you not have these? They shook their heads as he pondered. Score 1 for the multiversal traveling superhero. The end of the flashback. You'd be better off not knowing. Q speaking legally. Naruto responded by opening the scientific chiller, which was holding the serum at -80 degrees Celsius. He retrieved 2 vials of a red liquid with a pair of tongs. Despite the fact that the cooler was freezing, the liquid in the vials was not frozen. Is it done? Frenchie inquired. Gideon? Naruto activated her holographic face by pressing his watch. Is it ready? Yes. The 2 cure samples have been completed. All of the tests and simulations I've done show that the cure is complete. All that remains is to put it to the test on someone. Gideon responded. Thanks, Gideon. Naruto responded. Cure? Annie was perplexed. After learning about Homelander's plan to distribute Compound V to the world's terrorists in order for them to join the military, it occurred to me that tracking them all down would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. But there is one way to make that easier. Create a cure, Naruto informed her. Naruto has been working non-stop with Gideon to develop a cure for Compound V, Frenchie elaborated. How? Annie inquired, and he simply tapped his skull in reply. Because I'm a genius, I've also got Gideon's assistance. She's also a genius, and it helps that we've had time to study Compound V. It was challenging, but we were able to reverse engineer a Compound V treatment that should cure the effects in everyone who has been injected with it. And I modeled its dispersion after that of a gas. It will spread through the air and be carried larger distances beyond its initial effective range of around half a mile. It covers a larger region this way. Given Homelander's travels, I have to contemplate the entire planet. Naruto elaborated.
You only had to work for 36 hours straight to finish it. I'm blown away. Butcher admitted as much. I needed to be safe. The impacts on the environment, the potential of the remedy losing its power over time, and the effects on non-compound V affected people must all be considered, as well as the fact that the effects cannot be reversed. Naruto smiled as he looked at the vial, knowing it was a tall task. All right, we've got a soup here now, so let's test it. Butcher proposed.
No, I didn't invite her here to put it to the test. This is not a decision I intend to impose on her. Naruto stated this. Doesn't seem like much of a choice considering what you have planned. Annie mentioned it. You're correct, and I apologize, but in order for this to work, I needed to create a cure that would affect everyone infected with Compound V. You and the 7 are included. Naruto agreed. I'm sorry, Annie, but if I risk the cure not working on 1 or 2 people, then you become targets to figure out why you still have powers. So, either I lose my powers or I keep them and risk being experimented on, which could make things worse, she stated when she had a sudden epiphany. You know, maybe losing my powers isn't such a bad thing. Annie, what exactly are you talking about? Huey inquired. Everything I've done, all the training and stuff I went through as a kid, it was all forced on me. I was never given a choice. I used to believe that I was exceptional and endowed with special abilities because God picked me, but I was simply one of Vought's test subjects. I didn't got to pick. Annie stated. Perhaps a normal life would suffice. Alright, just give it to her, Butcher informed him. Once again, no, I'm still going to give it to her. If something goes wrong, she may require her powers. Having some superpowered backup may be vital until we knock out the 7 and bring Vought down. She and Kimiko could be of assistance. Naruto informed him. However, we do have a minor issue. What problem? Inquired. I used up all of the Compound V samples I had to reverse engineer it while making these 2 vials. If I'm going to manufacture more, I'll need more Compound V, Naruto informed them. I believe I can also assist with that. Annie gave Naruto the phone she had given him. He took it, connected it into a laptop, and retrieved the contents she had taken from Stormfront's computer. Right from Stormfront's computer. What else is the Nazi cunt keeping hidden? Butcher was perplexed. Apparently, she and Stan Edgar exchanged a lot of emails. I was only able to read a few emails, but he reportedly wants to know how the testing at the Sage Grove Center is progressing. It's a Pennsylvania psychiatric facility. Annie responded. Point 4. Global Wellness Services, a subsidiary of Vought, is a proud subsidiary of Global Wellness Services. Examine it out. Naruto brought up a few emails concerning how the test subjects were tolerating their Compound V injection doses and whether there had been any improvements. Stormfront said that there have been some improvements, but nothing definitive has been made. More testing was required, and the problematic subjects were removed. Vought's using a psychiatric facility to test Compound V on adults. Holy hell. Butcher screamed in rage. Those fuckers are trying to make more soups, but they decided to skip the baby testing and go straight to the big leagues. Alright, but why? To produce more soups? Inquired. That would kill their franchises, media, and everything. Perhaps it's to stabilize the Compound V formula in order to create a better hero, Naruto proposed. What exactly do you mean? Huey inquired. If I were doing this, the only reason I'd test on adults like this in a controlled environment would be to perfect a procedure. Compound V has a higher success rate with infants, but consider Kimiko. She is proof that it works in grown-ups. Naruto brought this up. But that was unusual, and who knows how many injections, he was reminded by Frenchie. That is why I would try to improve the formula to make it work once. Consider this. Especially after learning about Homelander's creation of super-terrorists. If Vought succeeds in perfecting Compound V, Naruto led the way. Then it only takes 1 dose, and they've got a super soldier to fight them. Vought and General Homelander funded for and trained the troops. Butcher became aware. The fuckers are trying to take over. Holy crap. When Naruto's phone rang, Huey mumbled and answered it. Hi, Susan. You're not going to believe what we just discovered. He told her, but she then told him something he expected but didn't expect to happen so quickly. What? That doesn't sound very good. Naruto rose up and went around while talking to Susan, Annie observed. And they've already given him permission to go on a mission? Do you have any suggestions? He asked her, but she didn't respond well. He listened to her explain, and his super brain was working overtime to come up with a solution given the additional variables that had been introduced, as well as what he still required. Okay. We can't let that law pass, so it's time to step things up a notch and begin chipping away at their empire while providing them with a new target. Susan, keep your head down. Vought and Homelander will be too preoccupied with me to pursue you. Take precautions. Give me a guess. Susan arrived to ruin the celebration by bringing unpleasant news, Butcher speculated as he hung up the phone. Unfortunately, Homelander didn't only make Kimiko. A US Navy SEAL unit was wiped out in Libya by a soup terrorist. Naruto informed them. M mumbled, shit. The Department of Defense is working on an emergency situation to get Homelander to assist in an operation, but this is it. We're almost out of time, Naruto stated before taking a big breath to relax. He stepped over and put the 2 vials inside empty gas grenades, which he then secured shut. He gave one to Frenchie along with his phone. Go to Sage Grove and gather any evidence you can, as well as every vial and bottle of Compound V you can find. The more the merrier, and then bring it back here so I can create more cure. After that, gas the area to see if there are any persons who have been affected with Compound V. Gideon and Annie can aid if you run into troubles, but make sure they and Kimiko are both gone before you remove the pin. Go. Hurry. We'll be gone in 5 minutes. Get what you require, Butcher informed them. So, what are you going to do? Slow Vought down and give them a new target. This will be over once I get enough of the remedy. Naruto stated this. Annie, before you leave, let's take care of the tracking chip Vought implanted in you. The what chip? Annie inquired, and he responded. The squad broke up after removing the chip. The climactic confrontation with Vought and its soups was approaching. XXXXX line break the Vought Tower in New York City. A few days had gone since Homelander's assignment with the Special Forces unit to hunt down the network to which the super terrorist belonged. Madeline Stillwell was in a meeting room with the Secretary of Defense to discuss a mission-related issue. Homelander raided a terrorist hideaway and discovered some Compound V bottles. The Islamic State isn't exactly a scientific hotspot, but they've faked your Compound V shit. The Secretary questioned, setting the vial down. It seems that way, Mr. Secretary, Madeline responded. How did they get their hands on the formula? Honestly, we have no idea, she informed him. You must have some idea. Some tourists steal it from your laboratory, or even an inside job. The secretary knew she was lying, but Madeline pretended to be unaware. Sir, we'd like to get to the bottom of this just as much as you would, she made a pledge. If I had my way, Ms. Stillwell, the Justice Department would haul your smug, tennis-toned $1 into Congress and force you to testify about corporate fraud. She laughed when the secretary told her. What is Lockheed Martin's #1 product? She inquired of him. Sorry, it's a bestseller, you should be aware of this because you were on their board of directors, he was reminded by her. The Patriot missile. Correct. Northrop? The B-2 Stealth. What about General Dynamics? M1 Abrams and Tomahawk. Billions of billions in cutting-edge technology. Do you know what all of it is right now? A useless heap of excrement. Because Naquib and other super-terrorists like him can flick such garbage away like a flea. So it doesn't really matter where heroes come from. To be honest, it doesn't matter how the opponent obtained the Compound V, what matters is that they have it. It's a completely different planet now. And just one company has the product to fight back. My business. This is my product. She informed him when the secretary's phone rang. Something came up on the news that he wanted to watch right away, according to a text from Deputy Director Susan Rayner. There's something wrong. Turn on the news. There appears to have been a development, he said, so she turned on the news in the meeting room and saw a breaking news report. A video feed had apparently materialized on all television, internet, and broadcast signals around the world, and what was broadcasting appeared to be a video of a blonde, spiky-haired Japanese American with whisker-mark scars on his face tampering with a camera.
Is this thing on? Hello, it's on. Okay, good. Hello world.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze.
That name won't mean anything to anyone, but hopefully soon it will. Sorry to interrupt your normally scheduled broadcast of whatever you were watching, whether it was a new Vought-sponsored TV show or Vought News Network. I, like many of you, enjoy the security of the familiar and everyday life, which includes pop culture. I enjoy them as much as any other person, but in the spirit of the past events that led to the creation of this fine city and what Lady Liberty out there on the island represents, I thought that we could sit down and have a little chat. There are those who don't want us to speak, and by that I mean Vought Industries. They don't want me to speak to you all and tell the truth because they don't want you to know the truth. They just want you to sit back and needless consume every lie, twist, and Vought-sponsored product to make you happily oblivious to every horrible act they've committed. Naruto said to the camera before moving back to show he was in a dark room with nothing but a comfy chair and a table with a cup of coffee. What did you do to irritate him? The secretary inquired, but Madeline simply smiled as she contacted her text team to trace down the signal.
For decades, Vought Industries has spread the lie to the American people and the world that the superheroes they manage, train, and push to the public are gifts from God. People who were chosen by the Almighty to protect America. After all, Vought is the power that makes heroes super, which I'll admit is a pretty decent line, but it's one that is a lie. That is the true meaning of superheroes. Do you think you're going to tell me he's also a member of the Islamic State? The secretary questioned rhetorically. What you're seeing is Compound V, and it's the key to Vought's superheroes. To know the truth about Compound V is to know the truth about Vought, so it's time for the truth. Naruto drank his coffee as a hologram of Frederick Vought appeared on the table. Meet Frederick Vought, founder of Vought Industries and the inspiration for Compound V. Don't take my word for it. Listen to Stan Edgar. The hologram switched to a video and audio recording of Edgar's office and his talk with Homelander in which he revealed who Frederick Vought was. Born in Germany, he was a geneticist who worked for the Nazi Party at Dachau before switching sides to the Allies as the war came to an end. The video abruptly came to a halt. There's more to the story, but that's for another time, but that's the truth. Science is what has made the Vought superheroes, but how? Well, let me explain that and better yet show you the proof. Let me warn you that what you're about to see is messed up, but that's the lengths Vought goes to in order to make its product. Vought has hidden its Compound V as polio vaccines to certain hospitals around the. As Naruto recounted, the hologram displayed a video of the infant in the hospital being injected with Compound V, as well as all of the files and data on Samaritan's Embrace, including files on the children and Vought's payoffs. Parents received generous payments and payoffs to keep their mouths shut while their children were injected. I'm not a parent, but if I were, I'd be sick that others would do that to their child. After the kids were treated with Compound V, they were then monitored by Vought scientists and carefully guided through the process. To keep people from asking questions, Vought sold the public on the idea that superheroes were born rather than made. The hologram then showed a video of Homelander's meeting with Madeline Stillwell, in which she confessed to being blackmailed by Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh, and Homelander claimed he killed him because he knew about Compound V.
The secretary gazed at Madeline before getting up to depart. Mr. Secretary, I assure you that this is all a lie. It was all digitally fabricated, Madeline assured him when the secretary received another text from his sources that the information from the broadcast was sent to other news stations where it was verified as authentic, and then reports from the FBI that everything they got was genuine and real.
I think it's safe to say you've got a lot on your plate, the secretary said as she walked out of the building. Madeline glared at the monitors and hurled her shoe at one.
Kind of chilling that Mr. All-American Homelander murdered the mayor of Baltimore, isn't it? All because he knew something he shouldn't have. That's what Vought is. Just a company angling for control and willing to kill anyone who gets in their way, and anyone who knew was either on the payroll or killed. Makes you wonder what else they've lied to the world about. Everyone in Vought Tower, including the Seven, was watching the program. Homelander was in his room watching the TVs before his eyes flared red and he exploded in half as a train scowled angrily at Naruto. Maeve was watching TV in her room when her phone rang. It was texts from Elena asking if she was okay and that they talk. Maeve was at a loss for words and pulled the business card Naruto had given her from her pocket. He must have honored his word regarding her discovering the truth.
I'm sure many of you are wondering why I'm doing this. Why go after Vought? What do you have against the soups?
The reason I'm doing this is because I believe in what it means to actually be a hero, and that doesn't mean being controlled and run by a corporation whose only objective is to make a quick buck.
A hero isn't someone with great skills or powers. It's not a fancy costume, red carpet appearances, movie deals or money. A hero is someone who can walk through the darkness and still have light in their heart to save people because it's the right thing to do, not because of a photo op or for money. Someone who is forged by their losses. The ones that can go through hell and come out of it with a smile and a newfound purpose. A purpose to right the wrongs and avenge the loved ones they've lost. That person who helps others simply because it should or must be done, and because it is the right thing to do. This world was started and founded by people who felt the same, and every day there are real heroes out there who believe that justice, freedom, and the truth are more than just words, but are perspectives. So, if you've seen nothing and the crimes of Vought and its people mean nothing, then I would suggest that you allow this moment to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, then I ask that you stand proud and let Vought know and that their lies and actions will no longer be tolerated. Naruto told them, making a very passionate speech. Until the next time, and more of the truth is revealed. After the broadcast faded out, everyone on the planet felt as if time stood still for a brief instant. The revelation of a genuine truth bomb with earth-shattering ramifications was merely the beginning. New York City's secret safe house. He stood up from his chair, sipped his coffee, and walked out of the dark room, which was simply a corner of the safe house where he and the boys were staying. Frenchie, Kimiko, Huey, Annie, Butcher, and M were present, with him in charge of the camera, which was connected to a laptop and Naruto's phone, which broadcasted the signal around the world. Naruto remarked, "I think that went rather well. Nice work on the camera, I guess I've got a new job to fall back on," jokingly said. "Be honest, what did you think?" Naruto inquired. Huey said, "I liked it, me too. It started off like a Mr. Rogers vibe before you moved into Stephen Colbert-like banter, and then a mix of Bill O'Reilly mixed with a Brian Williams anchor-like Veed but brought to a medium level," Annie remarked, and Kimiko agreed. She liked it, Frenchie said, "but I have to ask, did you have that written down?" "No, I just made it up as I went. Some parts one took from a dystopian graphic novel I like on my planet. Vendetta something," Naruto revealed. Butcher chimed in as the group dispersed, "Definitely a broadcast to remember." Naruto entered the living room and found Butcher's wife Becca seated with her kid Ryan, who was working on some books and schoolwork. Grace texted, saying she was too busy debriefing Lamplighter with her team to catch everything, but she says it was good. "I can't believe you found him there," Naruto said of their assignment at Sage Grove facility. It was a testing area for Compound V, and they were utilizing mental patients as guinea pigs, just as Naruto had predicted. They observed Stormfront arrive and chat with Lamplighter, whose job it was to burn and dispose of the undesirables. When Lamplighter recognized Frenchie, one of the inmates was let go, resulting in a little prison break, but all worked out in the end. They obtained the data from Sage Grove, had plenty of Compound V for Naruto to produce more of the treatment, and Lamplighter came along to assist and testify due to his guilt. Mallory really showed up at the meeting spot when she discovered it was Lamplighter and almost shot him, but Frenchie persuaded her not to. When they fled, they also left a gas grenade behind. "Neither did we, but we got what you needed, and thanks for getting Becca," Butcher said. Naruto responded, "Sure thing. It's time to relocate to a new safe house. Vought will be combing the city with a fine-tooth comb, so getting out of town is a good idea. Mallory said the place should be ready, so head out after you guys clean up. I'll torch the place to keep Vought focused on me." Returning to Vought Tower, suffice it to say, things were insane at Vought. They were all hands on deck to attempt and contain Compound V after its abrupt broadcast and revelation, but it wasn't something they could solve. Stan Edgar's office was packed with important people for a meeting. All of the monitors were showing news stations covering the unexpected broadcast and disclosure. Cameron Coleman, a Vought network news correspondent, instantly went on the radio to contradict these charges, claiming that Naruto was simply an anarchist and anti-American terrorist attempting to cause fear in the country. They bought it for the die-hard loyalists or idiots who weren't savvy enough, but every other news station in the country and the world was reporting on all of this. The FBI validated all of the material and data made public, including all of the videos aired, so things were looking grim. The superhero military bill was also put on hold, which was not good. One news outlet was interviewing Congresswoman Victoria Newman, a vocal critic of Vought and its superheroes. "My father used to say that when there's smoke, there's fire. So, Vought lied to us about Compound V, and now we've found out that Homelander himself was responsible for the Baltimore mayor's plane crash because he knew too much. A plane crash that killed not only him but his 10-year-old son as well. What else are they lying to us about?" she said to the American people while all Vought employees were doing damage control. "We're down 68% in morning trading, 20% in the last 15 minutes. If it reaches 19, begin a buyback." "Yes, sir. Jesus, what about pharmaceuticals? Pfizer is circling, horrified at our lack of ethics. Investor lawsuits, breach of fiduciary duty, non-disclosure." One of their lead attorneys highlighted the things they were dead set against. We have exposure for fraud, assault, and infliction of bodily harm, all of which are police exclusions. But not murder. Maryland has issued a warrant for Homelander's arrest in connection with the death of their mayor. This is really bad, the attorney continued, as Stan Edgar appeared to be more concentrated on something he was working on with his tablet. We have two choices: deny or accept the high risk, high reward. But if we deny and they nail us, if there's more information and a legitimate whistleblower, there's no coming back, another attorney said. That's bankruptcy, criminal charges, 10 to 15 for everyone in this room. Option 2, mea culpa. We try to spin this as best we can and set up a sacrificial lamb. The chief attorney proposed, but Stan Edgar was more interested in the street camera footage of Naruto going down the street in New York City. He finally surfaced on a downtown street, so they needed to find him and figure out what he knew and how. They called it, "Trading has been halted," an executive announced, and everyone sighed. Stan. We've got to put out a statement. Which one is it? The attorney inquired, but he was more concerned about getting this Naruto. Homelander sat in his room, his eyes burning red from having lasered through and melted all of the televisions in his room in rage. There were those who remained faithful to Vought and him, but the majority, if not all, of the remainder, rapidly turned when they discovered the truth. And now there are calls for an investigation into the plane crash and the death of Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh. Even a Homelander might be detained and questioned. He was watching a breaking news conference on his laptop where Madeline Stillwell was speaking out against the broadcast. The people of America should not lose faith in Vought and its heroes. The broadcast that overrided all networks was the work of a supervillain that the Seven have been tracking down for some time, so nothing he says can be taken as the truth. He is just trying to cause dissidence and turn everyone against each other. The people have my word that Vought is and always has been here to protect them, she told them, putting on her best smile and turning on the charm but every. Homelander gritted his teeth in agony as his super hearing detected a loud sonic pinging noise before hearing a voice. I know you can hear me, and you probably know who I am, but if you want me, come and get me. When the police heard a big explosion outside Vought Tower, they were holding back some protesters against the firm for everything. Homelander was flying out of the building at breakneck speed, heading for downtown. He hung in the air, trying to locate the sound, but it had vanished. He utilized his X-ray vision and didn't locate anything until he came across a building that he couldn't see through since it was zinc-lined, so he soared down and crashed through the roof before landing inside. He looked about and noticed that the place was empty of people, though there was furniture and other items. When he walked in, he noticed Naruto's reflection in a full-body mirror. Huh. I was expecting you to be here a lot sooner. Took your time. Come on in, Naruto said as he walked away out of sight, so Homelander followed him and saw himself in another mirror. How did you like my little broadcast? I thought it went well. Humor. That's good. It'll be nice to have some funny thoughts before you die, Homelander said as Naruto walked out of the mirror's view, allowing Homelander to walk in deeper. Because the building was vacant, Naruto was the only one inside. Was that your grand plan, to go on TV and tell the world lies? Lies? Far from it. That was all true. I mean, you should know. You were the one who killed the Baltimore mayor and his son, Naruto stated as he walked out of a room with a cup of coffee in his hand. So, what's next? You called me here, so what's the next step of your master plan for revenge? Homelander questioned, using his X-ray vision to see if there was a bomb, but when he did, his ears were blasted with a loud ringing noise, forcing him to cover them. Yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Special sensors rigged to detect X-ray vision, and when they do well, let's just say you should have brought earmuffs, Naruto stated. And you're mistaken, Homelander. This isn't about revenge. I'm doing what real heroes do and going after bad guys. And Vought is by far the worst I've encountered. Take your shot, Homelander. I'll be right here, Naruto said, his arms out. Oh, you're serious? Naruto had to concede. You really have an inflated sense of self-worth, it's astonishing. You know, when I first started my plan, I was concerned about you. But now, I'm not, and you want to know why? Enlighten me. Homelander agreed. Because you're honestly just pathetic and sad, Naruto said, as Homelander narrowed his eyes in rage. Here you are, the very poster child for Vought in the United States, yet you're nothing more than a child having a hissy fit when he doesn't get what he wants. That's what I first thought, but now, I see you're just sad. Someone who has no idea what it means to love or be loved by anyone. Someone who was given incredible powers they didn't deserve all because a pharmaceutical company wanted a mascot. Homelander sped forward and punched Naruto in the head after Naruto smiled. He laughed as his fist moved to his head but then passed through it, observing Naruto not move at all. Homelander paused to examine his hand before moving to touch Naruto, only to discover he was nothing more than light. Naruto smirked before vanishing and reappearing on the other side of the room. That's the funny thing about holograms. They're just pale reflections of the real thing. Did you honestly think I was actually here? Guess I expected too much of you. Naruto smirked before his hologram vanished. Stormfront descended through the ceiling hole, and a Vought tactical team came via the front entrance. When he stepped on a trigger plate by accident, the tactical leader informed him, "Target's not here. Bomb." That's then the remaining walls and ceiling exploded, and yellow foam began to fill the room, coating everyone from head to toe in foam and goo. Naruto's hologram then resurfaced and chuckled. "Ha, oh, this is a classic. Nice try, idiots, but it's not gonna be that easy," Naruto said as Homelander used his laser vision to smash the warehouse in rage. A massive electrical surge ripped through the facility, destroying everything Naruto had placed there as well as any evidence that could be used to follow him down. Naruto purposefully allowed himself to be seen on traffic cameras so that Stan Edgar might bring him here. They had fallen into his trap, which had turned out to be a distraction. While Homelander searches for Naruto, Maeve overheard her drunken father tell some reporters outside a Taco Bell that he had no idea of Compound V, but that was a lie. Bullshit, he didn't know. I remember this one weekend when he made me do 3 mall appearances in a Teen Vogue photo shoot, all to get the money for my braces, which he then blew at the $5 table at Circus Circus, she told Elena over the phone. Perhaps this is a sign, Elena speculated. What exactly do you mean? They've all lied to you from the beginning. You don't owe them anything. And after what Homelander did. Dot, are you safe? Maybe this is your chance, our chance to leave while we can, Elena said, as Maeve looked down at the business card in her hand that had Naruto's number on it. Pack your bags and wait for my call, Maeve said as she hung up the phone and phoned the number. She waited a few dial tones before the phone rang. Hello, Maggie. I appreciate your call. How did you like my broadcast? Interesting, and it's beginning to sway me, but I'm not sure about some things, Maeve said. I understand. A lot of questions are being asked, and I'm essentially Vought's #1 enemy. Homelander actually came after me. You don't seem worried at all, Maeve observed. I'm not, because we don't even live in the same country. Maeve heard howling wind and rushing air as though he were on a mountain. What's that noise? She inquired. Just some wind, which is starting to pick up. How can I assist you? Can you really help me and keep Elena safe? Maeve questioned. Of course, I keep my word. Do you mean you're willing to help and abandon a sinking ship? It's not sinking yet. Your broadcast was good, but you know Vought and Homelander are going to fight this with everything they have, she said. True, but that's not my only broadcast. I have 2 more coming, and what they show will rock your world. But you also know I have footage from the plane that will bury Homelander and also hurt you. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to leave this behind? I can protect Elena and guarantee her safety. I even have connections that will allow you 2 to live a normal life once this is over. But are you ready to own up to what you've done and go on record? Do you mean about the plane? She inquired. That and everything else. I know this appears to be a catch-22 situation here, but my assistance means nothing unless you're truly prepared for everything. Are you ready for Elena to know? Maeve looked at the TV and saw the mounting backlash against Vought and Homelander for what they had done. I'm not sure. I understand your concern about how she might react. That's a conversation the 2 of you should have, but if you still want to leave, go to Riverside Park and meet Elena at 6 p.m., and I'll come get you. Alright, I really hope you can help for Elena's sake, Maeve said, her voice full of genuine concern. I keep my promises, Maeve, and trust me, you're doing the right thing. With what the public is about to learn about Vought, you'll be glad to be on the right side, Naruto said before hanging up. Maeve started packing and gathering whatever she could, while Naruto prepared everything for Maeve and Elena, including something that could heal her. Stan Edgar glared angrily at the CCTV street camera photographs of Naruto. They had tracked him down in central Manhattan, and he dispatched Stormfront and a Vought tactical team to find him, but Homelander had arrived first. There was no evidence of Naruto, and the whole affair was a ruse, so they got nothing. He had them chasing after him. Vought's public relations and legal teams did everything they could to help with Compound V, but it wasn't enough. The public wanted answers, and not the ones Vought was currently providing. Homelander, like Madeline Stillwell, was becoming persona non grata, and the FBI was bringing charges against her, including withholding information and aiding and abetting a murder, in addition to the allegations that the rest of Vought was facing. They were treading water, and Edgar hoped he wouldn't sink them. When his phone rang, he answered it. "What? Ouch, Stan. You don't sound so good. Do you need some tea for your cranky mood? Or how about some soothing cream for your ass considering the pounding you've been getting from the world today?" Naruto joked.
Edgar instantly summoned his helper and scribbled something for her. He wanted the number and phone phoning him traced, and he wanted Homelander to listen to the phone and try to track down Naruto with his super hearing while they worked on that. Call to gloat. I know it's not the smartest thing to do, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
You must be very proud of yourself, Stan said. I really do. I mean, I wish I could see your face during this conversation, but I'll settle for seeing your sweet mug when you get arrested, unless you decide to take the coward's way out, which I won't judge you for.
You realize this will blow over, right? Edgar asked. Sure, you've published some pretty damning evidence against Madeline and Homelander, and against Vought, but that won't stop us. Vought has endured for 75 years, and it will endure long after I am gone, and it will not be brought down by an idealist anarchist who happened to coerce Starlight onto his side.
Ah, so you figured out who my leak was. Well done. I'm impressed.
It makes sense. Her tracking chip goes offline shortly before all of this begins, so it makes sense. And Madeline did say she was the weakest link, but she'll join you in the ground when this is over, which will be soon enough. We will find you, you will die, this will all blow over eventually, and business will return to normal for Vought. We may have to let some people go, sacrifice a few others for the greater good of the company, but like Vought, Stormfront was on her way when they traced the call to an abandoned residence on Long Island.
Using Stormfront, she flew as swiftly as she could to Long Island, to the street and house where they traced the call's origin. She landed in the front yard before kicking in the door and unleashing a barrage of purple electrical plasma all over the area, causing an explosion that devastated the back of the home. She came to a halt and glanced around, finding no human remains but a landline phone that was turned on with a note that read, "Did you really think it would be that easy?" She destroyed it and walked out the door, tapping her ear communicator. He's not there. Back to Edgar. Edgar looked at his helper, who flashed him another sign that said, "Target not found," and he was unhappy. Let me guess, you sent one of your minions after the location of the call but found nothing. Did you really think I would make it that easy? That's the thing you don't understand, Edgar. You think we're playing checkers, but I'm playing chess and I've been 10 steps ahead of you all this time. But that's not why I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win because I'm gonna show you what a real hero is capable of. So, enjoy the show. After that, the connection went dead, and Edgar heard a big thunderclap in the distance. When he peeked out his window, he noticed a speeding blur racing around the city and up the side of the building. He actually rushed to Edgar's office window and cracked it before climbing to the roof and racing away, with a train following him out of the building a few seconds later. When a news report showed him what the blur done on the roof of Vought Tower, Edgar got up and came up to the window to inspect the damage. He had created a lightning bolt sign out of fire. Naruto was sprinting out of the city along the Hudson River, then down the coast, with a train close behind on land because he couldn't run on water. He sped up after seeing a train sprinting on land and severely lagging behind him. Naruto rocketed forward, then did a rapid U-turn before running straight at a train faster than he could react, landing an uppercut on the stomach that sent him flying back. Vought's resident speedster flew through the air before collapsing, excavating an impact trench, and clutching his stomach in anguish. Then Naruto stood in front of him, dressed in his impulse suit. Sorry, a train. All good things must come to an end. I wonder if that's what you told Popclaw during all of this. A train seethed in rage and rose to his feet. He drew a syringe from his back and injected Compound V into his thigh, where he immediately felt the power boost and adrenaline high that gave him the confidence to know he would kill this person. You're dead, motherfucker. A train charged at him, sinking an even deeper hole into the ground with his feet and creating a shockwave in the process. He knew he was going to kill him and run through him like he killed that girl. This blur wasn't even reacting, so he realized he had this when he was around 2 feet away from his body. Killing this individual would make him a hero at Vought, and he would benefit from it. Unfortunately, that didn't work as Naruto began to flash with lightning and simply went to the side. A train was powered up and traveling faster, but he was still considerably slower than Naruto. as evidenced by the fact that he just moved out of the way when they were only a foot apart. A train turned to gaze at Naruto in surprise, and he just smirked at him before walking behind him and kicking him in the back. That sent a train soaring through the air, and he was about to slam face first into a tree when Naruto appeared in front of him with his arm outstretched, clotheslining him and causing him to fall on his back while grasping his throat. "I'm still alive, a train. The difference in speed with us is quite large, but where I'm from, you wouldn't even be qualified to be called a speedster," Naruto said as his watch beeped. Homelander was closing in on them. "If you'll excuse me, I must depart. See you later." Naruto sped away with a thunderclap and rushed out to the sea before accelerating to peak speed and rapidly departing the place as if he hadn't even been there. Homelander arrived a few seconds later to find a train on the ground, defeated. Homelander simply glanced around in rage before taking off to get him, ignorant that he would never get close. The foam and sludge that landed on him in Stormfront, unbeknownst to the star-spangled madman, was not a joke but another expert strategy by Naruto. He'd created tracking devices that clung to your skin like a tick, and that's how he knew Homelander was on his way and Stormfront had gone to the phone track signal in Long Island. He'd manufactured over 1 million of them before shrinking them down to the size of a tick with his PIM particle shrink ray and placing them in the foam he'd dropped on the idiots. Most of them missed, but all he needed was one to grab onto each of them. They were so little, and the foam was so unexpected, that they didn't even notice. Naruto had assured them that he was 10 steps ahead of them. Homelander, Stormfront, a train, and the rest of Vought looked for Naruto but came no closer to locating him than hunters did to finding Bigfoot. And with the trackers on them, Naruto and the others always knew where they were. With the pandemonium going on with Homelander out of Vought Tower, Maeve was able to pack up her civilian attire and slip out of the building with a bag of everything she cared about. She kept a low profile and disguised her face to avoid being identified before meeting Elena, who was dressed in a hoodie and carrying a duffel bag and luggage. "What's going on?" inquired Elena. "I'll let you know when I do. Come with me." Maeve led her away, and the two made their way to Riverside Park. Maeve checked her watch as they strolled through the park and saw that it was 6 p.m. That's when she came across a tree with a lightning bolt on it. Given how Naruto essentially painted one on Vought's tower, she assumed it was a message to her and stretched over gingerly to take it. She opened it and found the words, "Hold on." When they were immediately swept away, Elena asked, "Hang on." They hadn't been at a park for more than 2 seconds when they were abruptly transported from it to a hotel. "Ah."
Elena grabbed her stomach, and Maeve wavered a little before she couldn't. Fortunately, 2 trash cans were placed in front of them so that they could puke. "Oh, God," Maeve grumbled before puking again. "Take it easy. In through the nose, out through the mouth," she said as Naruto approached with some water bottles. "When I race them somewhere, everyone gets whiplash and nausea, sorry." Maeve drank some water from the bottle before cleaning her mouth of the puke, and Elena did the same when she spotted Naruto. "You know the guy from the broadcast?" Elena asked Maeve.
"Not exactly. I went to Maeve for help against Vought and gave her my number in case she wanted out. I can keep you 2 safe from Homelander, and boy is he pissed, but lucky for us he is currently searching throughout Asia for me." Naruto showed them his phone and a dot moving quickly around the Asian continent. "You're tracking Homelander?" Maeve was taken aback. "Yup. You two are safe here. Come on, I'll introduce you to everyone else." Naruto took some of their baggage and led them down the hall till he unlocked a door and they went into what appeared to be an underground bunker's living space. "I know it's not the Ritz, but it's an underground secret bunker provided by the government, so you're safe. I have some CIA friends." "That's who you're working for?" Elena inquired. "Among other people," Naruto replied as they continued walking, which is when they noticed the others and Maeve noticed Starlight. Annie inquired, "Maeve, what are you doing here?" "She's here with us. I did say you were someone who wanted to do the right thing. Maggie is also someone, but is a little guarded and resistance," Naruto said. Maeve replied, "None taken." Naruto said he could protect Elena from Homelander. When Butcher and the others saw Maeve, Naruto vowed, "And I can. Trust me, she'll be safe here." "Fuck me. Queen Maeve, too? What the hell is going on here?" Butcher exclaimed. "What can I say? I'm a people person, and they like me," Naruto said as he patted Butcher on the back. "Relax and settle in, we have a lot to talk about." XXXXX line break. When Maeve and Elena came, there was a lot to talk about, and Grace even turned up for a debriefing. Suffice it to say, A lot was said, and emotions ran high, only to skyrocket when the truth was exposed. The plane mishap and Maeve's failure to prevent Homelander from leaving it to crash. That was a lot for Elena to take, and it wasn't easy, but that's when Naruto dropped the bomb on them, explaining that he had saved some of the passengers from the plane just before it crashed, and the CIA had taken them into protective custody. That helped Maeve's guilt, but it wasn't going to be easy going forward, and things with Elena were icy. But she was alive, and that was all that mattered for the time being. Maeve even volunteered to come out and speak on Capitol Hill, just like Annie would. Naruto had everyone collected in the main area the next day, where they had a massive store of weapons and stuff for a worst-case scenario, and Naruto always planned for the worst-case scenario. The guns were for the soups in case Naruto's strategy went awry or he forgot to account for a variable. This manner, the boys and others could offer assistance. When Frenchie approached with a modified RPG head, M had just completed loading an assault rifle magazine. On impact, the RPG emits an electromagnetic pulse, which should cut through Stormfront's plasma bolts, Frenchie explained. How sure are you? M inquired. It's just a guess, Frenchie said. That's Stormfront, and thanks to the Queen, we know Noir just needs a fucking tree nut. How about a train? Butcher inquired. I've had enough of those trick bombs Naruto devised to stop him, M replied. Are we sure all of this is necessary? Huey questioned as Kimiko approached with a rocket launcher. If everything works out, a lot of this may be unnecessary. True, but the only truth in the world is uncertainty, Huey. I never plan to be caught with my pants down because I always plan ahead and with the worst-case scenario in mind. If something goes wrong and I need help, these things can tip the fight, Naruto said as he walked over to him in his suit, mask down. Huey complimented him on his attire, saying, that is an awesome suit. Butcher replied, a little flashy for me. Ignore him. It looks good, Annie said to Naruto, who was also decked up in her Starlight costume. Okay, this is it. The point of no return. I can still handle things on my own, so if any of you don't want to do this, stay here. No shame, Naruto said. Oh, fuck off their hero. We've been in this fight a lot longer than you have, and we finally have a chance to go after them, and you think we're going to pass on that? Butcher asked. Said, we're in. Of course, Frenchie said, and Kimiko nodded. Huey took a step forward and said, so am I, Annie stated, same here. I'm in as well, Maeve said as she walked up in her suit. Are you sure you want to do this? Annie inquired. I need to get out of here and really need to hit something, Maeve replied before turning to face Naruto. Besides, Elena is safe, just as you promised. I always keep my promises, Naruto assured her, looking around at everyone who nodded. All right, let's take down some supervillains. The Vought Tower in New York City. Things had become worse at Vought after the tech crew reported that Maeve's tracking chip had gone offline the night before, which indicated she was either dead, converted into Starlight, or on the run. Nobody knew what to believe, but they didn't have time to think about it. Unfortunately, the day was disrupted once more, but another broadcast took over and Naruto reappeared in the same room, sitting in the same chair, with a cup of coffee. Good morning, world. I apologize for the broadcast, but I promise that this will be the last one. What I have to show you today will probably change the world going forward, but it is a lot of truth that you need to know. By now, I'm sure everyone knows about Compound V and has either come on the side of the argument as I care and I'm outraged, or I don't care and think I'm lying or a terrorist. A hologram appeared to show the Sage Grove Asylum and then began to show images and videos of the patient's experiments and how they were guinea pigs for Compound V.
He even showed a video of Stormfront appearing in a room with lamplighter and talking to a patient, but the footage was censored when it came to the part where the patient was burned alive.
Sage Grove Asylum is Vought's next plan for Compound V. Instead of testing on babies, they decided to use a mental hospital and its patients as lab rats to test Compound V. These people were tortured and tested constantly so Vought could perfect their formula. And when a patient was no longer useful, they just killed them and moved on to the next one.
Stan Edgar grabbed his whiskey glass so tightly that it shattered in his hand and began to bleed.
But why? I mean, why would they do this? Well, the answer is because they need the perfect product for the problem that they created. Check this out because it was shocking to me when I first heard it.
A video of Homelander and Stan Edgar talking played, in which they admitted to the existence of Compound V, as well as Homelander's delivery of Compound V to terrorists all over the world in order to get soups into the military.
Now, doesn't that just make you angry? Homelander created a problem for which only Vought had a solution. So, the government would gradually give more and more power to the company and its soups, and I think it's fair to estimate that within a few decades, they would own the entire fucking country and launch the planet into full-scale war. I mean, come on. These idiots in control like this, making their own villains to fight and lying to the public like they were. Another video started playing, showing what actually happened on the plane. Homelander chose to let those individuals die rather than save them. That's your hero, America. That's the kind of man Homelander is. A man who sees you as nothing more than tools to get what he wants and coerced Queen Maeve into doing the same. At least she's willing to admit her mistakes, but him. Not even close. But don't worry, he's not alone in being the worst at Vought. Allow me to show you the real Stormfront. The hologram began to reveal all of Stormfront's true origins and Nazi background.
Can you believe it? A real Nazi, Stormfront, or her real name of Clara Reisinger, was the wife of Frederick Vought. Two evil peas in a pod. He was the horrible, unethical scientist who experimented on people in Dachau, and she was the one who got powers and was every bit the Nazi her husband was. Probably even worse because she had been around for a while and there were plenty of people she killed who didn't fit into her Germanic view of excellence.
After that, the broadcast and everything that was now in the open terminated. There was an immediate response online, and the rest of the media and authorities quickly followed suit. Stormfront punched through her table in rage after seeing certain television stations quickly report on the breaking news of her Nazi ancestry. When her screen went blank, Naruto appeared. According to the camera perspective, he appeared to be using a phone or something. On the television, he smirked as if he was gazing right at her. Checkmate, Nazi bitch. Can't wait to see the world tear you apart, but if you want to go a few rounds so I can show you just how unperfect the Nazis truly were and you are. I'm at the Liberty State Park by the water in Jersey City. I'll be waiting. Naruto then signed off, and Stormfront flew out of the building at full speed. Stormfront flew to New Jersey and landed in Liberty State Park, which was deserted. She proceeded to the water, where she noticed one individual standing by a railing, gazing out over Ellis Island and Liberty Island. Guten Tag, Fräulein, Naruto remarked with a purposefully bad German accent, before turning around so she could see his face and the lightning bolt he burned on Vought Tower. Stormfront cursed him out. There you are, you lying slanted eye monkey. I hope you had a good time because it's over and I'm going to enjoy myself. Ouch, I'm sensing hostility here, Clara, but then again, that's all you Nazis know. Hostility, bigotry, hatred for anyone who is different, and cruelty. How does it feel for the rest of the world to know the truth about you? Naruto thought. Stormfront told him, what truth? The pictures are clearly deepfakes, and you're a lying bastard. I wasn't lying, you were. I mean, those photos and documents were yours and are probably being verified as we speak. You should really keep better track of your stuff. You know, it was kind of hard to see what you were doing or what you had planned, but when I figured out your origins, it started to click. Naruto said. Frederick Vought never went Wonder Bread American, did he? He was a die-hard Nazi loyalist like you were until the war was coming to an end where he knew he would lose if he stayed on Hitler's side, so he jumped ship. Even after the war was over and he came to America, he never lost his Nazi beliefs. Just decided to adjust them and wait, which must have been awful for you. They were not monsters. They were the best men in the world and knew the truth, as did Frederick. Frederick gave me the power to fight back and do what Hitler never could with an army of supermen million strong. That is Vought's true destiny. Stormfront fired a blast of electrical plasma that Naruto Super sped out of the way to avoid before racing at her from the side and punching her down. When he saw her get up, he couldn't help but giggle. What's the big deal? You are, Clara. You want to know the truth about me? I'm not Compound V injected. I'm not even from this Earth. I've been traveling from Earth to Earth for what seems like months and doing good on each one where there's bad. But there's one thing that I can take away from my travels that just makes me smile. That thing. They all have a shared history of one particular moment in time.
Stormfront roared angrily and charged up 2 bolts of electricity to fire at him, only for Naruto to supercharge forward and shoulder smash her in the gut. She flew backwards and rolled on the ground before rising to her feet. When she launched bolts of electricity at him, Naruto walked over to her before super racing away. He reappeared to her left, this time punching her across the face. She attempted to attack him, but he reappeared on her right, kneed her in the gut, grabbed her by the face, kneed her in the nose, and threw her into the earth. I'm actually glad you decided to show up. I was content to let things play out, but I'll admit that getting a shot at you was on my bucket list.
I've always wanted to punch a Nazi. Naruto told her as she got up and tried to punch him, but he sidestepped her and punched her in the side, then threw out over 24 speed punches all over her body and face in the span of a second. Anyone watching saw a blur of Naruto's hands followed by nothing as Stormfront was jostled around and knocked onto her back. And the best part is that I was live streaming you up until the part where you attacked me, so the rest of the world got the truth right from your face.
Stormfront said in German, "Stirb du Schwein," and blasted bolts of electricity towards Naruto that hit him and knocked him back. He landed on his back and sat up, despite the sting. "Whoa, that was tingling, but nice try," Naruto said as he stood up and ran around Stormfront in a circle before pausing and launching a bolt of lightning at her. She was hit, and it sent her flying through the air, where she landed on a park bench. "But I was struck by lightning, and it's going to take more than that to hurt me." He turned around as he heard a whoosh of wind and the shattering of the sound barrier behind him. A train came charging at him from behind, hoping to catch him off guard, but Naruto was too quick and seized his outstretched arm. He exploited a train's momentum to change his trajectory and fling him to the side, where he was hard thrown into a tree. A for effort, Naruto shifted his head to the side and caught a knife thrown from behind him as he heard a splash of water and saw the Deep emerge from the Hudson near the park. Naruto just flung the knife at Deep and struck him in the shoulder, causing the aquatic soup to collapse into the water holding his injured arm. That was pathetic.
He heard a huge boom and saw Homelander fall from the sky, landing in the park, his eyes burning red. A train rose to his feet, Black Noir appeared, Stormfront rose to her feet, and the Deep emerged from the ocean. Then, in black sedans, several squads of Vought trained mercenaries drove into the area and secured it with their laser sights focused towards Naruto. When he watched Homelander hold out a vial of Compound V and consume it in one go, Naruto exclaimed, "Oh, looks like you guys brought some backup. Resorting to performance-enhancing drugs? The entire world knows, so what's the point? They know everything, so after I kill you..." Homelander's eyes turned red with rage. "I'm going to burn the whole fucking thing down." Naruto took a look around before slipping on his mask and cracking his neck. "Well, I guess I'll have to take this seriously. It also helps that I didn't come alone." Suddenly, all of the lights in the mercenaries' cars and guns went out, as if they had been turned off. A few men standing beside a car looked around to see what was going on when they noticed Starlight standing there, and she blasted them with her light blasts, sending some flying. She then conjured a bright flash of light, causing everyone, even Homelander, to cover their eyes. This allowed Naruto to engage his repulsors and hit Homelander in the chest with full force, sending him flying into the Hudson. Kimiko then appeared on the other side and began striking and kicking her way through the guys, with some of those who attempted to shoot her being hit by bullets fired by an unknown sniper. Stormfront sprang up and was about to blast Naruto when she noticed an RPG flying directly at her. Instead, she blasted it, but as it detonated, it created an EMP that shook her body and reduced her powers. She attempted to create electricity, but all she saw were small sparks of energy on her fingers. "Hey, Kraut," Stormfront exclaimed, only to be struck in the face by Maeve. When she launched another punch, it was blocked, and Maeve smacked her with an elbow to the face before kicking her into Naruto, who caught her cape and flung her to the ground. A train ran over to halt Starlight in the blinding flash of light, only to be met by a grenade. It then exploded, encasing a train's body in a sticky slime-like substance that rendered him unable to move, let alone run. Huey was responsible for that. Some of the soldiers recognized Huey, but MM and Frenchie killed the mercenaries and dragged him out of the path. Maeve got in Black Noir's face and hit him back before slicing him in the arm with a knife that was oozing some oil that smelled like peanuts. Noir quickly began to stumble and collapsed to the ground, where his anaphylactic kicked in. Starlight blasted the rest of the mercs, with the boys assisting in cleaning them up. When Stormfront's hands stopped shimmering and she blasted him off with electricity, Naruto grappled her to the ground and hit her twice in the face. He fell to the ground, and she kept blasting him until Starlight appeared from the side and kneed her across the face. Kimiko then hit her across the face, and Maeve followed with a roundhouse kick that knocked her to the ground. When Naruto stood up again, he noticed Maeve, Starlight, and Kimiko beating the shit out of Stormfront together. Maeve yanked Stormfront up by the hair and punched her in the side several times before being elbowed in the face. Starlight assisted her by punching Stormfront in the face and into Kimiko, who delivered an uppercut that caused blood to gush. Starlight grabbed her and kicked her in the back, but Stormfront headbutted her. Kimiko charged in from the side, kicking her in the gut and punching her in the face, knocking her down, and the females began pounding her down again. Naruto turned to see Huey, Frenchie, and laying the smackdown on Stormfront after dispatching the remainder of the mercs. "Girls do get things done," Frenchie grumbled. "That they do," Naruto said as he raised his left arm and shot the Deep in the face with his repulsor, knocking him back into the Hudson. Maeve. Maeve grabbed Stormfront and lifted her off the ground, then headbutted her and kicked her back, where Naruto caught her by the cape. He spun her around like a top before hurling her across the park, where he super sped in front of her and reared his right fist back. He then slammed Stormfront with the force of a cannon with a Speed Force armor-infused punch to the face, and she flew back where she really hit a train, carving out an impact trench in the park. Everyone rushed over to examine Stormfront, who had been knocked out and had a damaged nose if not a broken face, but she was now trapped in the goo with a train. Something tells me they both despised it. When they witnessed a huge red beam of energy come out from the Hudson, Starlight warned her, "Eat shit, you Nazi bitch." Homelander. "I got him." Naruto dashed into the Hudson and started racing around where the laser vision was coming from, creating a whirlwind. When the heat vision stopped, Homelander jumped out of the water at full speed, his fist held out, at Naruto. When Naruto's supersonic Speed Force-infused armor punch hit with that fist, it created a massive shockwave that tore through the river. Naruto and Homelander were both thrown back by the impact and fell into the Hudson. Homelander jumped out, grabbing Naruto by the neck and hovering in the air so the others could see. "I'm stronger now." Homelander continued to squeeze to make it uncomfortable, and Naruto felt his throat being crushed, so he pressed a button on his gauntlet. "Good, then this is probably going to hurt," Naruto said, setting off a slew of high-powered sonic devices nearby. Homelander dropped Naruto and held his ears in agony, the deafening noise becoming even louder now that he'd taken the V. Naruto was falling, so he swiftly swung his arms in circles to create wind funnels and halt his drop. When something crashed down next to them, he managed to shift himself and land back in the park with the others. The force and debris kicked up knocked them back as they turned to see Homelander swivel his head to the side and fire a supercharged burst of laser vision that tore through the ground, trees, and part of a structure to smash the sonic devices at the pier. "You can't stop me. I'm Homelander. I'm the most powerful superhero in the world," yelled Homelander as a car swerved into the park and came to a stop. Butcher jumped out of the car, armed with an ICER rifle created by Naruto and a special round. "Fuck you, you wanker." Butcher raised his rifle and took aim as Homelander's eyes became red and he was about to laser him in half when Naruto grabbed him from behind and covered his eyes with his Speed Force armor-clad hands. The armor was strong enough to block the thermal vision, and Naruto clung on fast as Homelander bucked and Butcher fired the shot at Homelander. Homelander took the shot right to the chest, which erupted in a puff of crimson smoke, but Naruto waited until the last second before letting go and diving to the side. Homelander coughed a little, as did everyone else in the area, as the smoke spread out and quickly vanished. "You think that can stop me?" "Nothing can stop me." Homelander's sentence was cut short when Naruto repeatedly smacked him across the face and knocked him on his ass. "God, just shut up," Naruto implored him as Homelander caressed his wounded lip. He had never previously bled. He narrowed his eyes and tried to laser Naruto in half, but it didn't work. "Is there something wrong?" "You should be dead. I'm using my powers, but nothing happens," Homelander said as he stood up to strike Naruto in the face when Butcher rushed over and punched him in the face. Homelander was thrown to the ground and felt anguish once more. "What exactly did you do?" "Like I told Stan Edgar, Homelander, you guys were playing checkers, but I was playing chess and was always 10 moves ahead of you," Naruto knelt. "When I learned about your plan to create super terrorists, I realized that tracking them all down would be nearly impossible, so I decided to take a different approach and create a cure." "A cure we just hit you with. That red gas pretty much fucked the compound V in your system and made you human, as well as the rest of your fucker friends," Butcher continued, and true to their word, Starlight, Maeve, and Kimiko's powers, as well as Stormfront's, Black Noir's, A-Train's, and the Deep's, were gone. "I needed enough of the cure to blanket the entire planet, so I made 4 devices and planted them all over the world. Asia, Europe, Africa, South America. Each of the 4 major continents got a cure dispersion device, Naruto explained, and true to his word, he had made enough of the cure for 4 devices and placed them in strategic locations on those continents. Because the cure is a gas, it spreads faster by air, but I knew it would still take time to encircle the entire planet, so I decided to broadcast, give you guys a target and let the cure do its job and spread without you knowing. You were too focused on me. When it came time to end it, we figured it was only fitting to make you the first soup we cured, Butcher said, smiling. It's finished, Homelander. Your abilities have vanished and will not return. You're no longer anything more than a human being, and you've got a world of issues ahead of you, if you live long enough to deal with them. Naruto stood up and went away, followed by the others one by one. Homelander shouted out to Maggie as she turned to walk away, Maeve. Please, he implored. Homelander was truly begging, but without his powers, he just looked forlorn. This is Maggie, and you will never, ever injure anyone again, Maggie told him as she walked away. Like you were some kind of fucking saint? Huh? Maeve, come on. You're not entirely blameless in this, Homelander yelled, so she hit him in the face, but it hurt because she lacked strength, and she cradled her hand. You are correct. I am not, but I'm willing to accept responsibility for my errors, Maggie told him as she walked away. Butcher was the only one who remained. He put the revolver to his side and took a crowbar from his jacket. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. What I would do to you in retaliation for what you did to Becca. Butcher spoke in hushed tones. Who the fuck is this Becca? Butcher kicked Homelander in the face when he inquired. Becca is my wife. And you raped her. Butcher was enraged. Homelander spit blood out and let out a melancholy chuckle. She was a scumbag. Butcher stared angrily before raising the crowbar and yelling angrily. When Naruto and the others heard Butcher yell and the sound of a crowbar striking flesh, they continued walking out of the park. Naruto and the others hesitated for a moment before continuing on their way, just as Susan arrived with the CIA and FBI. Her soldiers began rounding up the mercenaries, along with the soups of the 7. Naruto removed his disguise as he examined the aftermath of the fight, noticing Butcher walk over a body on the ground and gaze out at the Hudson. After a few days, Naruto stayed for a few days after the battle with Vought and the 7 to make sure everything was well. Vought was annihilated. Everything Naruto broadcasted and then Susan legalized was enough to destroy the company. By this point, everything that had been revealed had done enough to damage Vought that the federal government and agencies could step in and charge them. Compound V, Sage Grove with Lamplighters evidence, the plane disaster, Homelander's mega-terrorist campaign, the revelation of Stormfront's Nazi beginnings, and Frederick Vought excavated a hole that Vought couldn't pull itself out of. Many higher-ups, including Madeline Stillwell, Dr. Joseph Vogelbaum, Stormfront herself, a train for his cooperation in Homelander's plan, and even Stan Edgar, were arrested and charged. Naruto and Susan also provided evidence of Stan Edgar's past with Stormfront as Liberty, which added fuel to the fire. But, as Naruto predicted, the coward chose the simple way out and shot himself in the head rather than go to jail and lose everything. Still, it was a victory, and thanks to Naruto's medicine, everyone who may have been infected by Homelander was cured. This was demonstrated when a special forces mission to apprehend the super-terrorist in Libya went down without a hitch as the man attempted to deploy powers that no longer existed. There were still some skeptics and ardent supporters of the corporation, but these were the people who were insane, didn't know any better, or were devastated when Vought was brought down. Even doing good has repercussions for some people. People lost jobs, money, and security, which people took advantage of, so Naruto assisted where he could. He kept an eye on the criminal element in the country and sent Susan some useful plans and upgrades he thought would assist things. The president lauded Susan Rayner and Grace Mallory as heroes for their efforts in this initiative, and the boys were also recognized. Huey got some closure and was working things out with Annie, while was able to return to his family. She agreed to testify and was looking forward to starting a new life. Maggie agreed to testify as well, and while it would be difficult for her, it wasn't impossible, and she was getting a nice deal for her assistance. She was able to meet with several of the plane crash survivors to express her condolences. Maeve had vanished, but Maggie Shaw could reclaim her life, and Elena was safe. They were even conversing again. Frenchie was going to assist Kimiko in adjusting and locating her brother, wherever he might be. Butcher had Becca back, and Ryan was just like any other kid. Things would never return to normal for them after spending so much time performing the insane, but they had a chance. Naruto was responsible for all of this. What about Naruto Uzumaki's Namikaze? What happened to him? That's what the president wanted to know, but Grace informed him that he died in the fight against Homelander. Like a superhero, he gave his life to stop a lunatic. Naruto was at Battery Park, overlooking the Hudson, and could see Ellis Island, Liberty Island, and Governor's Island. He wore his hood up to protect his golden spiky hair and enjoy some peace and quiet. When Grace Mallory approached him, he turned to face the lake. "It's difficult to believe what you did," she said. "This is what we did. I had some assistance." Naruto reminded her of this. "And everyone is taken care of. Maeve and Starlight will be given new identities, and I believe the boys are finished." Grace stated this. "I thought you were insane when we first met. I never imagined this would work. I have a habit of defying expectations. Vought is no longer with us, but the world is far from perfect," Naruto mumbled. "If the world were perfect, we wouldn't need people like us. But because this is our world, we'll do our best." Grace agreed. "You know, the president was hoping to meet with you. I informed him that you had died in the combat with Homelander. He proposed erecting a monument or memorial to remember what you accomplished. I don't require a plaque. That's not why I did it," she chuckled as Naruto reminded her. "You're really all heart, tights, and a cape, aren't you?" she cracked a joke. "I don't wear a cape, and it's not tights." Naruto responded with a joke, and the two laughed. "Take care of the rest of the world, Grace." "I'll do my very best," she responded. "It's all that any of us can do." Naruto shook her hand before going away. "Your best happens to be more than adequate," he grinned as she stated. "Hope you get home soon." "Me too." Naruto saluted her before speeding away and running out onto the Hudson before accelerating and racing down the Atlantic. He closed his eyes and focused before tapping into the Speed Force and opening a portal to the multiverse. What would be his next move? To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. I fully read through this video. I hope you did enjoy the part of the story, and if you did, like, share, subscribe for more, and thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.